Hey, how's it going, everybody? Happy Sunday. Happy Sunday. Thank you for being here. As always, if you hit the like button, like, share, subscribe, tag anybody on this discussion, share it with someone that you think may find it interesting. And thank you for being here on such a last notice, you guys. This is all very much a last minute thing. So thank you for bearing with me. I'm excited about today's conversation. Hopefully we can all step away from this having learned something and having gained something. You guys are all aware of what has been going on over the last week in the Black YouTube spectrum, just specifically in how there's been all this back and forth, really based upon an interview that happened with Pearly things and Nick Fuentes a little while back. Since then, it's been a constant back and forth. There's been a lot of things said, a lot of accusations made, a lot of misunderstanding, a lot of insults, all of the above. And so, I shared a couple of posts over sometime yesterday as I was just thinking through some of the different lives that I've listened through and different conversations that I've had. And just some things that I've observed as far as the Black female perspective, and then specifically the Black manosphere perspective. Now, to be clear, again, just because I'm saying Black manosphere does not mean that encapsulates all Black men. Of course, Black manosphere is a very specific group of men. Nevertheless, I just made some observations based upon what I have observed. And, I got some feedback. Some of it was in agreement. Some of it was in disagreement. Some of it was you misunderstand. And after doing this, I thought, why don't I just go directly to the source? Why don't I just directly ask the Black Manosphere their perspective on this entire situation? And so that is the purpose of today's discussion. The purpose of today's discussion is to clarify, why is it Black Manosphere allied with Just Pearly Things, and more specifically, their thoughts just around allies and female allies in general. I want to clarify, this is not about bashing anybody. So this is not a name calling, throwing anybody under the bus. This is not a we're going to compare and contrast looks, compare and contrast work ethic. This is not what today's live is about. You are welcome to do that, but you can do that on another platform. Today, the focus and the emphasis is specifically why the Black Manosphere has chosen to ally with Just Pearly Things and what that means. So I want that to be clear. I will also clarify real quick, just so you guys will know my position. I'll restate my position. I've said before that my values are not in agreement with Just Pearly Things. I listen to different things that she has said. I listen to some of the other videos and content, and personally, her values do not align with my own. I also understand the different negative feelings and the concern that some of the Black female content creators had. I totally, completely understand and empathize with that. And so this is specifically why I wanted to bring the Black Manosphere on, because I wanted to understand where they came from. Before I jump to conclusions, before I, get into he said that, she said that, and the name calling, I simply am here to understand what it is they're coming from and specifically why they have chosen. But as I reiterate again, I am not in agreement with what was said when it came to the Fuentes interview and other things that Ms. Pearly Things have said. I'm not in agreement. I respect her work ethic. I respect her as a business person, but as far as I'm in agreement with her messaging and the different things that she's done, no, that's not me. With that said, if you follow Just Pearly Things, if you are to consider yourself to be part of the Black Manosphere, there's no shade. I'm not here to name call anybody, whatever their stance is. I'm not here to call you out of your name. I'm here to respect you, whatever your position is. But I want that to be clear. Again, this is not a live where I'm here to try to bash anybody, throw anybody under the bus, name call. This is not what this live is about. It is specifically about understanding the Black Manosphere perspective, not only on Just Pearly Things, but on their female allies in general. So I hope that is clear. Again, like, share, subscribe. If you like this kind of content, be sure to support your favorite content creators. The best way to ensure that your chat or your perspective is heard is through super chats. Also, as you guys know, you can find me on Cash App or Venmo, Shay Sharday. Okay, so real quick, I have a few other things that I want to clarify. Okay, oops, sorry guys. Looks like there is, bear with me, you guys. I'm so sorry. There is some technical issues going on back here. Okay, guys. So sorry. Hey guys, can you see me? I'm sorry, I was having some technical issues. Can you guys let me know? Hit me in the chat button if you can see me. Looks like there was some technical issues there. Can you guys see me? Can you guys hear me? Okay, sorry. I'm so sorry about that, guys. Okay. Anyway, sorry. This is all last minute, so you have to bear with me if I'm struggle streaming a bit. So again, like, share, subscribe, and without further ado, I'm going to bring on today, and we're going to have a talk about why the Black Manosphere is allied with Just Pearly Things. And like I said, let's be respectful to the guest, and we'll go from there. Hey, how's it going?
Hey, what's going on, Shay Sharday? How you feeling?
I'm good. Again, thank you for coming This was very last minute, I know.
No, not at all. We go way back, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Yes. So I know there's been a lot of I'm sure you observed everything. There's been a lot of back and forth. There's been a
Yeah,
lot.
it's all my fault, right?
No, well,
I done brought a Becky to the cookout.
well, you know what? I actually one thing I did also wanted to clarify. I know that there was a lot of people were actually not in agreement with the fact that you had an interview with her. Me personally, I took no issue with you having an interview with her because you had previously had an interview with her and you guys had a relationship. So it's like for me, like if I, for example, I'm bringing you on now you're a bit into controversy, but we've had conversations before, so it's not outside of the realm of reason for me to clarify with you and say, hey, we've built a relationship over the past. Let me try to clarify where you're coming from. So I personally didn't take issue with the fact that you decided that you wanted to interview with her because you had already had a relationship with her previously and you guys had already had that rapport. So that was just my position. Now, that doesn't mean I was in agreement with everything that she said, but I don't think talking with somebody that you have a different point of view necessarily means that you are I need to just cancel you. I'm like, that's what YouTube is about people having converging messages, talking back and forth, and either learning something or agreeing to disagree.
Yeah.
So that is that. But I did, want to get into different things. I know this is interesting. So I appreciate you coming on. Again, this is all last minute, guys, like within the less than 24 hours. And hopefully people can walk away with a little bit more clarity.
Well, at least I'm consistent. Well, you got to give me some credit here. At least I'm consistent. The ladies of the community that I have a preference for are Amazons. And when I brought Becky to the cookout, she's an Amazon too. So at least I'm consistent.
Well, that's certainly one way of looking at it. Okay. Okay, Mr. Finney. So let's get into it because I've tried to spend a lot of the last week or so just listening into different people's perspective. And one of the things that I've heard is that people are saying that it is really only non-FBA ADOS immigrant Blacks who are allying with Pearl. Is that a valid proposition? Do you agree with that statement?
You know what? I have no idea. I haven't taken a poll or anything like that. But what's funny about the situation with Pearl is many Black women here in the States, Black American women, take issue with her while she is talking to, for the most part, Black British women. And I have found no evidence that Pearl was addressing Black American women. So what's interesting to me is how Black American women have kind of inserted themselves into Pearl's operations over in the UK. And what's interesting to me is that thus far, I have not found any Black British women taking issue with Pearl. It seems that the main people that have an issue with her are Black American women. And that reminds me a lot of the Passport Brothers debate. I recently had a mini debate with Mr. Ace Metaphor. You're familiar with that name. Comes out of the Derek Jackson. He comes out of the Derek Jackson camp. And we were debating the Passport Brothers issue. And his position was, fellas, if you want to leave the country or if you want to leave Black American society, whatever that shape form that comes in to find a mate, that's one thing. But why is it necessary for you to talk down on, denigrate Black women? And I said, listen, the Passport Brothers didn't get viral because of their own actions. The Passport Brothers became viral because Black women bumped them up in the algorithm. Passport Brothers were talking to themselves. They were talking amongst themselves. And Black women decided to insert themselves into that conversation. And this is a tendency on the part of Black women. I'm talking about Black American women. This is a really interesting tendency on the part of Black American women. They have to be involved in everything. Nothing can take place unless they're involved in it and, of course, at the center of it. So when Barack Obama, 44th president of the United States and leader of the free world, wants to do something for Black men and boys called the My Brother's Keepers Initiative, Black women got to jump in there and talk about, what about us? When Ice Cube, legendary rapper and activist and actor and director, wants to do something for Black people under a political framework that he spent a lot of time and money to do, Black women on Fox Soul says, well, what about us? And they demanded a separate section be carved out just to address black women. The point is, I mean, I could go on. I mean, Minister Louis Farrakhan of the Nation of Islam, nearly 30 years ago, has the Million Man March. Black women say, what about us? It's like every time something goes on that black women feel left out of, they have to insert themselves into the situation. So right off the rip, the interesting thing to me about Just Pearly is that it had nothing to do with American black women. It had everything to do with British black women. And again, thus far, British black women haven't made anywhere near the kind of ruckus that black American women have made. So this is kind of a problem of their own making in a lot of ways.
So if I may interject,
yes, please go right ahead.
Yeah. So I can hear how you could come to that conclusion. I slightly disagree, just because first of all, we all know that she got started in the U.S., right? Not to mention Nick Fuentes is he is American. He is a white nationalist. Right. And a lot of the different relationship topics, the ideals that are being used now in her current studio, they came largely from the Black American, specifically Black Manosphere, which very much has its origins in America. So I think, especially when you're talking about slavery, which was international, to try to divorce that from the connections and also from the influence that Black Americans made, specifically Black American men, I think would be, I think that would be unfair.
Well, again, I think that the outrage regarding Nick Fuentes, again, has to be seen in context. With the notable exception of a few brothers, not most black men just weren't that bent out of shape over it. Yeah, you had some guys that made a lot of hay over it, but overall, it wasn't that many guys just that been out of shape over it. But what the Nick Fuentes situation really did was serve as the pretext, served as the legitimate excuse for a lot of black women to kind of take a dig. And again, even if you accept, and I don't agree with the guy. I thought that what Pearl did was stupid. But I mean, is it really that important? She's over in another country, for God's sake.
Isn't she coming back? Isn't she making it trying to come back, I think, to Miami or somewhere out in the South to resume?
I don't know. I haven't talked to her about those plans. And if indeed she does, set up shop wherever in the United States and start having these conversations with Black American women, then we can have a whole new conversation. But right now, as it currently stands, she's not talking to Black American women for the most part. She's talking to Black British women. And again, I don't agree with how the whole thing with Nick Fuentes went down. But I mean, it's a tempest in the teapot. I think the real issue is that I done brought Becky to the cookout, and that's the real problem here.
And we'll go to that. No, I can speak for myself and a couple of other. I think I will say this is probably the first time I've seen the collective of Black women, everything from the likes of a Crimson Cure to a Cynthia Ju, who are very much on the opposite side of the spectrum, take issue with some of the comments that were made specifically as it relates to slavery, my Africans, things of that. We know slavery was international. There's really no way around that. But notwithstanding, I know that you mentioned that ultimately the whole question around lineage, whether it was American, whether it was British, whether it's immigrants having an issue, your stance is you don't really know. And I want to be clear, you are an American born. Your ancestry is from America. You very much are closely tied to America itself.
Right? I'm American through and through. I trace my lineage back to before the United States Civil War. Okay. So, on both sides of my family. So we're ADOS through and through.
Okay. So ADOS. Okay. Okay. Again, you guys hit the like button. I do want to acknowledge, I did see a few super chats come through. I see. Yeah. So Obsidian and Anton Dennis are trying to save Pearl. I see a bunch of excuses already. How does Pearl impact the real lives of Blacks? Some comments coming through, and then also an Obsidian and Shay chance collab. Interesting. Love you, Shay. Thank you, all of you guys, for the super chats. I do appreciate you. Good question. I think, how does Pearl impact the real lives of Blacks? I don't really think. Well, that's a whole other question. I don't know if you want to speak to that, Obsidian, if you think she really does.
How does Pearl impact the real lives of Blacks?
If she does, or this is just
that would be a question. You know, I would love to see you conduct an interview with Miss Courtney Michelle and Miss Danica Marie and Miss Six the Goddess and pose that question to them. I would love to hear what they have to say about that.
Okay. Well, today, like I said, the focus is getting your perspective. So we'll see if that makes sense after we've had a chance to go through these different questions. But to be clear, you're American born through and through. Thank you for clarifying that. And I think it's important to set context, because I know sometimes people try to push things outside sources. And I'm like, no, I think this is very much a conversation that relates to what's going on in Black America, specifically given the influence that the Black Manosphere has had. Okay, so I do have a question just regarding a little bit more about your background and how it has impacted your current relationships. How does your personal experience with Philly's, or I guess Philadelphia's Black nationalist politics, if you think of Dr. Umar, Omwale Africa, that's come from there. How does that influence your perspective of Black relationships in America today?
From being from Philadelphia?
Yeah, because that's very much.
The Black. Well, let me put it to you this way: I haven't had any romantic associations with a homegrown sister from the city of brotherly love and sisterly affection in the better part of a quarter of a century. So, what does that tell you?
Okay, well, actions. I always like to say actions speak louder than words. So I think that says a lot. And would you like to expound briefly on why? I mean, I think I can make my assumptions, but it's better, I think, if you
Yeah, it's not hard. Ladies here in Philadelphia are a hardy lot, and it's not my idea to spend an evening with a hardy, broad-shouldered, hard drinking, hard cussing sister.
So needless to say, it's hard to get a fit, feminine, friendly women that according to your caliber in Philly.
It's not impossible, but very hard.
Okay. So, yeah. Very interesting. So you would say that by and large influences your understanding of just dating and mating in America, in Black America, period.
Say that again?
So you would say that your experience in Philadelphia largely influences your understanding of dating and mating in Black America, period.
Actually, what influences my understanding of it, especially in the past 8 years, coming up on a decade now, is my interaction with so many Black men across the country, and listening to their experiences regarding the lovely ladies of their communities. So I would love it if it was just a personal thing, just one-off anecdote, me here in Philly. That would be great, but that's not what I found to be the case.
Okay, so it's your experience, and then after having connected with other men across the board, right, who still had similar experiences, shared experiences, no matter the geographic location, that is what has helped influence your understanding.
And by the way, my vertical cred has nothing to do with it too. There's a brother in the chat room saying it's your height. Actually, no, there are brothers that are Kevin was 6'4", and we know how things ended up for him.
Oh yeah. Listen, I have personally, I'm in, obviously Barry, California, take that with a grain of salt, but I have personally experienced what you guys would consider, Black men over 6 feet who are, hardworking, getting degrees, easily going to be the top 10%, if not 5%. And they're maybe in college, or they're starting a career, or whatever, and they're just not getting the traction. And it's very strange to me, because some of these men will actually be quite handsome, but perhaps because they're not coming with a particular persona, they're not leaning in with, like, whether it's the F-boy type, like they just don't get time of day. So needless to say, and this is partially why we connected, because I heard some of the constructive criticism, right, regarding dating and mating in the Black America, and I was like, yeah, this is completely valid. So
it's another brother in the chat room saying, no, it's his crippledness. Actually, the proper term today is disabled, and no, that has nothing to do with it, because you have big strapping guys who are hale and healthy, also dealing with ladies that look like they're about to hit the A gap, like and hard drinking, hard talking. And they don't need no man. They don't need no cookbook. I'm a PhD, and so on and so forth. So no.
So yeah. So okay, but that you guys please be respectful to the guests. I don't think the height is not the topic of conversation today. The topic of conversation is Black Manosphere and them being allied with just Pearly things and just their female allies in general. I see Brian Boyd with the 999. It says tell dude speaker he should not assume the role of representative for Black men. I said it that he's speaking specifically for the Black Manosphere. Not all Black men say that they identify with the Black Manosphere. I have plenty of who follow me who are not in agreement. So just because he's speaking for the Black Manosphere doesn't mean it's necessarily you or everyone. Would you?
You know, it's interesting. There's a brother in the chat room saying that Kevin was ruthless when white women tried to voice their opinions about Black people, and that brother would be right. We all saw on Kevin's show here in the United States, he was filming out or going live out of Atlanta, talking to Black American people, Black women, Black men. And there would indeed be white women who would attempt to, invade their views with regard to Black women, and he would check them, and rightly so. But that brings me back to my point. When has Pearly Things, just Pearly Things, specifically addressed Black American women? That's my question to anyone. I mean, we're going to be taking calls in a little while. Anybody out there, if you can show me the smoking gun where just Pearly Things is specifically addressing Black American women, come on with it. I stand to be corrected. But all of the evidence that I've seen, she's addressing British Black women. And I respect them to address or not the matters as they see fit. It has nothing to do with Black women. They want Black women here in the United States. They inserted themselves into the conversation. And, what I say is, be careful what you wish for. You just might get it.
Really quickly, I do see also, it says marriage, politics, and sports. It says Obsidian is correct. The question should be asked of the Black side, Blacks who are shaming men that don't bend the knee to anyone. Shout out to you, marriage, politics, and sports. I also see Derek Mitchell. It says the truth about this Pearl situation is dudes were jealous of her since she blew up and they were looking for a reason to try to take her down. Thank you guys for the support. Again, the purpose of today's live is to understand the Black Manosphere's perspective towards just Pearly Things and their allies in general. That is what we're focusing on today. Okay, so really quick. So in general, what was your initial reaction? If you wouldn't mind expounding upon it, what was your initial reaction to the Judge Pearly Things interview with Nick Fuentes? Did you agree with any of the points or disagree with any points?
Any points that who made in that? You mean?
Yeah, in that interview, did you agree with?
Did I agree with her? Did I agree with him? I'm trying to understand what you mean.
Yes. Did you agree with and I know there was a lot said, but the ones that I saw being consistently replayed were references that she made around my Africans. And I mean, essentially the points that she apologized for in her apology video, right? The ones where she referenced my Africans, the one where she mentioned slavery perhaps being overblown and not being that bad. The ones referring to Africans working harder than African American, or alluding to that, and that kind of feuding that diaspora. Would you agree with any of that? Would you disagree? Or I'm just curious, what were your initial thoughts specifically to those points that were consistently being called out as problematic?
Yeah, I did like an 8-hour live, and I talked to Pearl about this. She was the one that took down the interview that she did with Nick Fuentes. I confirmed that because I wasn't clear whether she took it down or whether YouTube took it down. So she confirmed she took it down from both YouTube and Rumble. I was able to grab a copy of it in its entirety, unedited and uncut, and I ran with it on my channel. I did an entire 8-hour live. I was there for a whole work day, going line by line through her one-on-one interview. Now, I know that there was another show she did with some, other guests, and, Nick was, kind of interacting with the other guests. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the one-on-one 3-hour plus in-depth interview that she did with Nick Fuentes. I went line by line, 8 hours live on the air, and I could find no evidence that just Pearly Things is a stomp down racist with her Klansman hood, kind of poking out of her purse. I could find no evidence of that. What I did find evidence of that Pearl clearly was out of her depth on a number of things regarding her discussion with Nick. I found her preparation to be poor. You know me fairly well. You know that I'm, fairly adept at doing my homework and preparing for a topic and preparing for a subject, both written and live on the air. So there's that. As far as the specifics of what they talked about, I made it clear that I disagreed with Nick Fuentes. I found his anti-Semitism to be repugnant, and I found it to be a slap in the face to so many American servicemen and some women. They didn't serve as much back then in World War II, but they still were there. It was a slap in the face to our military. It was a slap in the face to my grandfather. It was a slap in the face to many, and since we're talking amongst our own, many black GIs who fought to make Jews free. Everything he talked about was a direct slap in the face of the truth of the Nuremberg trials, which revealed the horror and the atrocities committed against the Jewish people by the Nazi regime. I disagreed with that, and I made that clear at the outset before I even got really into the meat of the interview when I did my 8-hour live on this. With regard to just Pearly things is my African statement. I have no comment. 2 reasons. One, again, she's not talking about Black American people. Those are people who either currently reside in the United Kingdom or reside in various African countries. And I trust those people to deal with the issue as they will. As far as I know, so far, they haven't. They haven't had a bad word to say about it. From my investigation, and again, I did it, I was on the air 8 hours. I saw no evidence of her specifically talking about Black Americans. When the question about immigrants versus American workers came up, there was no specific mention of Black Americans. It was just Americans. Again, Black people want to insert themselves. They're looking for reasons to be aggrieved. And again, if anybody can prove me wrong, I did 8 hours on the air. I did a live the other day where I took disagreements from the audience. I'm willing to take questions again. If you can find me in that 3-hour long live where Just Pearly Things specifically says African immigrants work better than Black Americans, I'll recant my statement. But she did not say that. So, I mean, it is what it is.
So, okay, so question, because I know one of the pushbacks I've gotten or I've heard is that I understand your point. You're saying she did not specifically say Black American people work less, white Americans, period, work less. She didn't say that. But, as I mentioned to earlier, given her trajectory, given her connections, given the way that she started, the way that she even reached her current level of success, the connections that she's had with many different American content creators who actually did, it's not outside of the realm of reason to assume that she might be including Americans in her statements, because that is her ancestry. That is where she came from. That's where she started. And that is actually who she is still collaborating with. MTR being a prime example. He had just collaborated with her not too long ago, Melanie King, Americans. So
I won't say anything about Miss King and Mr. MTR. I won't speak to them.
Yeah, I'm not speaking for
their particular situation, other than to say this, that I think a big problem that we Black folks have here in the States is that we assume too much. We assume too much and know too little. That's the problem. Don't assume, know. I know no specific evidence, not assumptions, not insinuations, not implications, evidence. I know of no specific evidence that she was specifically talking about ADOS, Black American people. And again, I defy anybody in your audience when we take calls to find the specific language. Language matters. Specificity matters. Precision matters. It matters. Find the specific language where she said that.
So, quick question for you. So, in regards to that, for example, when she's made mention of roots, right, which is definitely speaking to a situation that happened in the Americas. She actually quoted Thomas Sowell, who was very much well respected within the American politics, from whom she got some of her ideals. Again, going back to slavery, you don't think it's fair to say that because of that, she would have a connection, at least, or be alluding to different American, the influence.
I would say in those instances that we would need to go to the sources cited and see if they tally with the claims that she made. Thus far, I have known of no content creator who has actually gone to the sources she cited, pulled them up, and see if they job or not. I mean, it's a very simple question. Is she cited Alex Haley? She cited Thomas Sowell. It's a very simple question. Was her citations accurate or not? It's very simple.
So the ones that I saw were some of the ones that I saw was
so simple. And this thing has been going on for like a week and a half. We can find out if it's accurate or not.
Yeah. I've made, and then we'll move on to the next question because I don't want to get to, there's a few others, but the things that I heard her allude to, not only not envy, but just slavery in general, I found to be inaccurate. I break that down in some of my videos. I do want to acknowledge some of the super chats that I've seen here. It says JC Setting the Record Straight podcast. It says she specifically cited Thomas Sowell, who exclusively addressed slavery in America. You were lying and caping. Black women don't get this benefit of a doubt.
I respectfully disagree. Black men have been giving black women the benefit of the doubt for far too long. Black women are the heaviest in the country. Black women are not known to be the nicest people to get along with. Everybody knows about customer service. Black women, have a out of wedlock birthing problem. Black women have a difficulty staying with one man for any length of time and being divorced problem. I mean, we can keep going on and on down the line. Black men have been very forgiving of black women, extremely so, in a way that no other group of men would. And that's reflected in the online dating app data that black women routinely complain about being racially discriminating against. So the idea that black women don't get the benefit of the doubt from black men, that's a bunch of bunk. That's objectively false.
Now, what would you say regarding the comment about Tom? That's what I talked about earlier. He exclusively addressed slavery in America.
Thomas Sowell, he's written over 50 books. Quite a few of them he discusses phenomena and looks at it from a global perspective. So yes, he examines slavery, both American and foreign. And again, we would need to find specific reference that Pearl is talking about with regard to Sowell, given that he's so prolific, written over 50 books, had a syndicated column for decades. We would need to know exactly what she was talking about so we could go back and find out what she was talking about, look that up with regard to Sowell, and then take things from there.
Well, I know one example that I think, and I've heard this things kind of used out of context. For example, where they'll say 1/3 of slaves own slaves, but they won't cite the fact that, according to the Library of Congress, I also shared this, and other historians such as Gerald Horne, that many of the slaves who purchased slaves are actually purchasing their own family members to free them from slavery. So there's this picture being painted that black folks were going on being the misters. You know that whole archetype that they use of black men being these bad slave owners, and it's just like, no, actually, people who were purchasing their they were trying to free them from slavery. So that has
that was a whole plot point behind Django Unchained, for example, Quentin Tarantino movie starring Jamie Foxx and so on and so forth. That was the whole point, that Django was attempting to buy the freedom of his beloved Brunhilde. That was the whole point. So yeah, it's a fictional movie, but it does speak to a truth that you just talked about, that there were African slaves here in America who were attempting to buy their betrothed or their children's freedom and their loved ones and whatnot. So yeah, that did happen.
Yeah. Okay, so it says real quickly, Clinton. Oh, I think I got this one too. It says, I will challenge you. Pearl show is based on FBA. Thank you, Mac Kinsey with the 199. Lead Clinton with the 5. It says, Mamiya, the fact that you found nothing wrong with her saying slavery wasn't that bad says more about your character than anything.
Oh, hang on a second. Wait a minute. I think once again, I didn't endorse her statements. Where did I endorse her statements here?
Well, you said you found nothing wrong with what you said.
I said I didn't find anything that she said that proves that she was a racist. That's different. And I made it known that I disagreed with Fuentes and told Pearl that I thought that her interview was stupid. I told her that both in private and in public.
Okay. Well, I mean, let me see. Let me see if it says more about your character than anything. Yeah, I mean, we can go back and forth. I know, I mean, we're having this conversation because your point is to clarify your position on whether basically why you ally with her. And of course, you're allying with her because you did not see or you did not perceive her statements to be repulsive enough for you to feel like you needed to distance yourself.
You know, it's interesting. What's interesting to me is the daily things that Black folks say to each other.
Which is
Makes what Pearl said in 3 Flowers Plus with Nick Fuentes pale in comparison. And we're supposed to just give that a pass because we're all Black. So we can call each other all kinds of, we can call each other coons, we can call each other niggas, we can call each other all kinds of stuff. That's okay. But going on a fishing expedition with Pearl, that's a whole nother, that's something that's just beyond the pale. Stop it. The selective outrage here is a farce.
Well, I alluded to this in my previous conversation, and one thing I will clarify too, because initially when she first took off a couple of months back, right, and she was doing a lot of collaborations with YouTube content creators out here in the States, and then she was making connections about in London. She got a lot of pushback. I remember this. Omwali was one of the first ones to call her out, and my statement at that time was, I saw a Black woman having issues with her, but many of the Black women I saw having issues with her, from my opinion, were in no position to morally police, because these are the same women who were, wanting to swirl and divest and were wearing, her hair, or wearing the hair of white women in their head. So I'm just like, you're not really in a position to judge this woman because you want to marry or date her brothers.
Well, so, it's interesting. Let me stop you right there. Let me stop you right there. Yeah, the interesting thing about that is you just said it. So you have these women that they make entire careers out of the idea that they have to swirl because there are not enough Black men to go around that they want. Fine. But the minute a white woman comes into view, they jump out the window with it. I mean, the hypocrisy abounds here. Kevin said like a year and a half ago that Black women should be free to compete on the open market. And he made the point that there's a certain group of Black women online who have been for years talking about divesting, talking about swirling, and now all of a sudden that Kevin says this, and a year and a half later we're talking about Pearl. Now all of a sudden it's a big scandal.
Yeah. Okay. Can I finish my point, Obsidian?
Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. So again, I agree with at that point, I agree that like you guys are not. If you're supporting Black-owned babies, you're not in a position to really call anybody out. I agree with that 100%. Now, this is where I saw the distinction, right? And this is probably where we're going to hash out. I do have a few more questions I'd like to clarify, right? If you're speaking of, for example, let's say the Danica Marie's of the world, right? Or the Courtney Michelle's or the Crimson Cure, who very much are, if not allies of the Black Manosphere, or we're allies of the Black Manosphere, do not rock with the BFF, especially Crimson Cure. I don't think anybody on here could ally that. She is remotely connected to that. Those women, I'm like, okay, if you had an issue with Just Pearly things or whatever, it's like, that's valid. I think you're pretty consistent with your message. I think you're pretty consistent with what you're about. You're about Black causes, et cetera, et cetera. My position, and this will be another live, is okay, what would it actually look like practically to go culturally gatekeep? I don't want to get too much in a tangent, but that was my question for those who are really serious about doing that. But so that's a whole nother topic. So that can be another topic for another day. Real quick, I do see marriage politics. It says, where are the blacks honeys smoke for Cynthia G? What her platform promotes is so much more destructive than anything that JPT said. JPT is insignificant to our future. I do not agree with Cynthia G. I've done multiple videos personally that make that very clear. I don't agree with her rhetoric at all. I have a whole section on my channel dedicated to ideology that I feel has been destructive to Black men in the Black community. So I can't speak for others, but that's what we do in this channel. I see that with the 5, it says it's definitely selective outrage. It's all I've been seeing lately. Thank you so much for the support. I want to make sure I got everything. I think Okay, here's an 18th letter. I want to know, where is this energy for Black women content creators who've built their careers off of wishing deletion on Black men and born? Yeah, guys, I hear you, and I'm the first one to tell you there is obviously rank hypocrisy among Black women for sure. This is why I get called all kinds of names. This is why other women, like I said, Crimson Cure being one of them, they get called kinds of names when they ever try to have a conversation about being held accountable. Danica Marie, like I said, according to so I get it. I understand that exists. This is specifically why I am here. So I want to make sure I got all of everything, and then I do have a few more questions. Okay,
take your time. Take your time. Plenty
of time.
Then I hope we have time to take a lot of questions. A lot of people.
Yeah, we'll work this. I know people have some stuff to say, guys. Like I said, let's keep this respectful. This is not. I'm not here to try to name call anybody. We're not here to name call the guest. We don't need to be talking about the guest and his height and his looks, or the height and the looks.
Well, I actually welcome it, because what it tells me is they don't have any arguments left. That when the debate is over, slander becomes the tool of the loser. So I love it. Listen, if you want to come up here and tell me how bad I am, if you want to tell me I want some good old butter biscuits, don't forget the honey. Now you got to have honey on those butter biscuits. If that's what you want to tell me, come on up, because it proves to me you don't have an argument. Please insult me, please.
Okay. Well, he welcomes insults. You guys, I am not the biggest fan of insults, so please be mindful to be respectful on this platform. JC said in the Record Straight podcast with the 5, I appreciate you so much. It says he's allying with her because he's hoping that he can become her new slave by getting signed to one of her. The cap is real. Okay.
Because these people have some fertile imaginations, man. I tell you the truth.
It says marriage, politics, and sports. It says B2Y Shay, I'm glad you are doing this using your professional frame. You're one of my favorites. Thank you for the support. Okay, let me make sure I got everyone else. Okay, and then I did see the $4.99 with the AC S. Thank you so much for the super chat. And okay. I don't remember if I read this, but I will again just in case. It says the truth about this pro situation is dudes were jealous of her since she blew up, and they were looking for a reason to try to take her down.
Oh, get out of there. Get out of
there. Thank you guys for the super chat. Y'all know the drill. Like, share, subscribe. Okay, so let's move on, because I do have a few more questions. And again, I appreciate you being here, hoping to clarify the perspective of everyone, being that there's been a lot of back and forth. There's been a lot of assumptions, and I'm like, let me just talk directly to the source of the Black Manosphere and get some clarity around this. Okay, so I know you said, your initial, you went line by line, literally in her interview, and by and large, you really didn't see anything worth being bent out of shape as regards to her interview with Nick Fuentes and different things that were said in that interview. You did not agree with the anti-Semitic statements that Nick Fuentes was said, but apart from that, you didn't see anything too crazy.
No, now, I saw a lot of stupidity, but I didn't see anything like
you didn't see anything. Okay, that was your position. Okay. Now, I've heard you say in other just lives and over the years that you say good fences make good neighbors. I think you live more recently listened to. And again, this is kind of affirming your value of, the importance of gatekeeping, right? Conversation, importance of gatekeeping spaces. So how and why does a Midwestern white woman fit into the home of the Black Manosphere?
Oh, that's very easy. She valued a Black man when other Black women wouldn't. She approached Kevin Samuels, checkbook in hand, and treated him with the deference and respect a professional of his stature deserves. And Black women, meanwhile, treated Kevin little more than the canine excrement on the bottom of their shoe, and danced on his grave and called him all kind of disreputable things and called him gay, used all kinds of homophobic epithets. I mean, it's not hard to figure out. I mean, she treated him differently than Kevin did. I mean, the Black women did. It's pretty straightforward.
So you're saying, okay, so you're saying she specifically treated him better than, let's say, other Black female content creators who would also hire her, for example, a Melanie King, right? Or
Melanie King is a notable exception to the rule. I've known about Melanie King since late 2021, when I was at the first Black Manosphere meetup in Atlanta, and I met with Kevin in a private closed door meeting. We met in Buckhead at an exclusive restaurant, And he talked about how Melanie King stepped to him, wanted to learn the business and so forth. So I grant her a special pass on that. But for the most part, most black women treated Kevin like crap, and we all know what I'm saying is true. I mean,
no, the outrage when he passed away, I was disgusted. I was completely disgusted, and I did see, the handful of channels that I would think to go after it: Danica Marie, Courtney Michelle, Melanie King. I think Six did something. The handful of channels that I expected to speak out against the buffoonery. Apart from that, unfortunately, you saw a lot of people who were kind of doing the whole sisterhood stuff, and
yeah.
I
mean, I mean, there's a lot of content creators. I'm talking about black female content creators. A lot of them who hold a dim view of Kevin to this day, and say all manner of things that are just downright disgusting. And I find it ironic. Like I said, one of Kevin's best live shows he ever did, in my opinion, about modern women should be free to compete in the open mating market. I just find it deeply ironic and prescient that we're having this conversation right now, because there's something else that needs to be said here. The black women who have a problem with Pearl aren't approaching this like a business issue, and that's a big part of the problem. They're approaching this as a mating issue. So my position is, give the people what they want, since it's clear that most black women don't talk the lingua franca of business, and instead they have a different calculus to look at this. Okay, fair enough. White women will approach your man. See, a lot of black women have the view that I'm not approaching no man. Fair enough. So other women will approach your man instead. And there's even books about this. There's a book, and I know the gentleman personally. His name is Daniel Berger, of Fortune magazine. He wrote a book some years back called Datonomics. Well, his sequel to that book is called Make Your Move, and it's all about white women, taking the initiative and getting a man. And this is something that white women do on the college campus. White women do, outside of school. They will step to a man. They will go and do that. Black women will not do that. Their thing is, you got to come and step to me. And how is that working out for you, ladies?
So, okay. So I understand. I think you and I think most people listening to this there's no issue. I think we all assume that the sisterhood has been, and today still has, plenty of issues. And this is precisely why we're here talking. This is partially what the Manosphere is about. Not all, but partially what it's about. It's frustrations with the sisterhood and the hypocrisy that has been there. You said something interesting that I found unique, though. So would you say that just Pearly Things has treated the Black Manosphere better than the Black female content creators who are aligned with the Manosphere?
Well, again, we could take it back to the source.
Mm-hmm.
Melanie King notwithstanding, I will grant her a pass. Fair enough. But in the main, how did black women treat Kevin? We can see it. We can see how they treated Kevin on the air. We can see it. We all can see it in real time. We don't have to speculate. How many calls has he took where black women just treat him like crap? Young black women that are young enough to be his daughter, black women that are his contemporaries in age. How many? And we're supposed to be okay with that because it's black women. The problem in Black America, and Kevin talked about this, is that we have a de facto monopoly on each other, black men and black women. And we can go into the weeds with this, but the bottom line is this: we don't have an open market in Black America. You're expected to do whatever you have to do to get with someone of the, no disrespect to gay and lesbian people here, but I'm gonna stick to straight folks. You're expected to do whatever you have to do to endure to get a black man if you're a black woman, and a black woman if you're a black man, and it doesn't matter what either side does. And I think that's a bunch of crap. And again, the irony here is there are black women, and not just black women themselves, but universities. Ralph Richard Banks out there at Stanford, everybody knows his book is Marriage for White People. You have top tier black and white academics saying to black women, you need to open your options. But now when even the hint of it appears for black men, there's a scandal. Stop it. Black women should be able to compete. And if they don't, Frederick Douglass said it best. What shall we do with the Negro? Do nothing with us. Do nothing.
Okay, so question, because I know that when I mentioned, I agree with, I would never tell a good hardworking Black man that has good character to get with the likes of an investor that says abort Black male babies. That would be self deletion. I would never advocate for that. But I know it's when I mentioned, you said, okay, Melanie King's an exception, but then all these women who called in. So are you saying that there are not, because I'm speaking about Black manosphere and their allies, right? Whether we want to talk about
where are the Black manosphere's allies? The allies, let's talk about this. The allies in the Black manosphere. Let's really talk about that. So the Black women that are in and around the Black manosphere have predominantly Black male audiences. That's not where the action is. Let's be frank. The action is with their sisters. Why aren't they having real time, not talking into a camera, having Black women in front of them, having real time conversations with them about how they need to be better? Where's that happening? Just Pearly Things confronted Brittany Renner and told her to her face, "You're fucking up." Excuse my expression. She said that. Where else among Black women is that happening?
These are all valid questions. I'm trying to make sure I understand your original point about, apart from Melanie King, right? The Just Pearlys of the world being a better ally. And my question being, okay, so
Melanie King doesn't make the cut either, because she's not having, and I'm gonna tell you the reason why. She's not having real-time conversations, sitting across a woman in real time, talking to her. It's being on videos, that's not good enough. Talking into a video camera, no. Sitting down on couches, talking to her in real time where they can reach out and touch each other. Where's that happening?
Wait, I don't, because to me, so I don't first of all, I don't understand what that has to do with who's a better ally. Now
it has everything to do, and I'll tell you the reason why. Because Pearl made the investment, Pearl took the risk, Pearl is willing to go and put herself out there. Black women are not willing to do that. They're not.
Okay, so I want to make sure I'm understanding. You're saying that Pearl is she treated Black men better because she was willing to invest, aka Kevin Samuels. She paid him the money necessary to get the proper training. I think also TLA. And so she was able
and Hafez and Donovan Sharp and
Hafez. Okay, so she paid to study with the best of them. And she invested in the infrastructure. She created a studio by which she could now bring in people and have these conversations. Black women have not been willing to invest in Black men in the manosphere monetarily. They have not been willing to invest in having these studios to be able to bring in Black women. I want to make sure I'm clear. That is why you say that she has treated Kevin Samuels and the Black manosphere better based upon the investments that she's made.
Right. And again, for those who disagree, and I can't wait to take a Q&A. For those who disagree, all you have to do is just answer who's done that. Melanie King has a predominantly male audience. I mean, ostensibly she does a dating show. Well, we all know what's going on here. It's the same thing with Melly Monaco with the pineapple. It's basically try to shoot your shot at Melanie King's show. That's really what it is. It's a predominantly male show. And that's who she talks to. She doesn't have a studio full of people that she's talking to in real time. That requires investment. That requires risk. And for Black women, that requires risking being called a pick-me and enduring all kinds of stuff. Black women don't want to do that, and that's fine. If this episode has taught us anything, is that, Darwin had hit the nail on the head. Nature abhors a vacuum. Something's going to fill the void. If you don't do it, someone else will.
Okay, so it's interesting. You're saying she was willing to invest in her business and herself and etc. And in doing so, this is why she has reached the success that she is, and it's also why she is a good ally to the Black Manosphere. Melanie King being an exception, you have not seen that among other Black female content creators, and so therefore, the best one for the team.
I mean, we have to be honest here. I mean, not only was Just Pearly Things speaking up for the interests of men, in this case, Black men. If we're gonna racialize this, Black men, fine. But she was willing to have face-to-face, real-time, on camera, in the same room, conversations with Black women and be willing to tell them that they're effing up. Black women aren't willing to do that. They're not.
Now, what would you say to those who say, okay, this is because now this could be, this is largely a question of resources. We know that she came from a well-to-do family, and of course she's worked hard, but it did require investment. It did require money to be able to pay for all the different people that you mentioned, the Kevin Samuels, the TLA, the Donovan Sharp, the Hafez. That's all money. And if you're talking about your average rank and file Black woman in America, she don't have the money like that. She's not.
Okay, so let's talk about that. And this is, I'm glad you brought this up.
Mm-hmm.
So first, let's deal with the Daddy Warbucks issue. Are we honestly saying that all Black women ain't got no dads at all? Because yes, it's true, she was born into a relatively privileged situation, but she didn't. It's not like she got millions of dollars from a dad. She got a $5,000 loan to get started. $5,000 is not in the realm of possibility for Black women.
I'm sorry.
$5,000 is out of the realm of possibility for most Black women. That's what you're telling me.
Well, I mean,
Black women lead the country in school and consumer debt.
I would argue, based upon the stats, if you have them being the highest convicted, I would argue. But I think that's really besides the point. Me personally, it's just me more trying to figure out is one of the, how do you put it? Like, is one of the distinctions here? Okay, really, how much money are you willing to invest to get this message across? And that's what it's sounding like. That is a big.
Well, I mean, let's look at all the organizations, the sororities, the nonprofits, the government initiatives, Goldman Sachs. Let's look at all of the initiatives put in place to specifically help Black women. Specifically, I remember right here in the Black Manosphere, there were Black women who were hostile to us, crowing just a year ago about how Goldman Sachs was earmarking billions of dollars for Black women. Okay, so what happened? You got billions of dollars from one of the biggest banks on Wall Street. What happened? You got resources. Let's talk about education. Isn't this what we get banged in the head with all the time? We get banged in the head all the time by Black women, to the point that even Kevin himself made a de facto, well, I don't know, I wouldn't call it a meme. I would call it a sound clip.
I'm a PhD.
Yeah, there you go. I mean, lots of Black women have these degrees. They have the resources.
And they have the debt.
So what's the hold up here? Black women use social media more than anybody. That's according to Nielsen, not my opinion. They have all the resources they need. This isn't a resource issue. This isn't a race issue. This is a priority issue. Black women didn't make it a priority, and someone else did. It's that simple.
Okay. So the Black Manosphere, as you said, it's allies. It's not a race issue. It's who is willing to invest and who is willing to align as far as overall goals. I want to make sure I understand.
Yeah. And I'm sorry that those I'm glad you brought that up, because that's been percolating a lot. Well, she's white, she's female, she's privileged. You know what, man? You know what this is starting to sound like as a Black man who does not have the luxury of using I'm not white, I'm not privileged, that sort of thing. I'm not degreed. You know what it's, and Black women give no quarter to any of that. It sounds like excuses. It sounds like excuses. That's all it sounds like. Every time it turns around for Black women to step up, there's an excuse. And I'm sorry, the time for that is over. Black men who are busting their ass against all odds to be the best version of themselves and put themselves in the top 20, top 10, top 15, top 5, top 2% of men in this country are tired of the excuses. We want performance. Make it happen. Step off.
Okay. You want performance. Okay. Okay, real quick. I did want to acknowledge a few super chats, and then I'll go back to a few more questions, and then we can open up the call lines if you have a few minutes. So Lorenzo says Shay is one of the last genuine Black women in space. Thank you, Lorenzo. Appreciate it. Abe is great. It says, I'm seeing too much white liberal tactics. Cancel culture shows you concede, you prove that you are afraid of what that person has to say. Free speech must reign. Thank you, Abe is great with the 5. I see Tots resign. This is what irritates me of our community when you are forced to defend one, you magically support them, and they say we aren't a monolith. Pathetic. Thank you, Tots risen for the 5. I see Brand Boyd. It says, is Buddy on contract with Pearl? Thank you for the $4.99. I don't know if you want to speak to that.
I'll answer that question.
Okay.
No, I am not under contract with Pearl. Okay. I have absolutely no plans to be under contract with Pearl. We're colleagues and peers, and we work for a mutual advantage. And I'm glad he asked that because, again, Pearl stepped to Kevin. Pearl stepped to me. How many ladies in the Black Manosphere have done that? You know, my book, The Red Book, the book of Obsidian, the ladies edition, has been out now for just over a year. And I made a list of Black female content creators when I was publishing the book. I had put into the budget to pay Black female content creators to talk about the book. I contacted many of the names that you hear floating around right now. Mm-hmm. None of them responded. And I was willing to pay for the airtime.
Okay. Interesting
indeed.
Okay, Deanie, it says
so I don't want nobody getting mad when you see me and Just Pearly Things talking about the book of Obsidian, the Red Book. I don't want nobody complaining now because you heard it here. I'm just saying.
Okay, so Deanie says, I predict Obsidian will turn this into a circus. I hope he won't, but this has been his modest operandi. I probably butchered that. He can't help himself. Thank you, Deanie, so much for the 5 on the super chat. Okay, it says Pookie Miss Prime. It says this the most attention Obsession has ever gotten. He better use it to his advantage. He wants to be Kevin Samuels so badly without showing his face.
Well, let me respond to that. I mean, I find it interesting that someone who wants to talk about showing faces isn't showing his, but no worries. Just had the contractors out to the house over the weekend. Mm-hmm. We're making the final preparations. They'll be back to get everything on and popping with my home studio in my living room. That's going to be going down in a few weeks. I have plans to meet with some other folks. I'm going to try to see if I can have a shooting location at the Pyramid Club. That is pretty much a fait accompli. It's just a formality. That'll be one of the shooting locations for my live shows. And then I'm working with the possibility of another Black-owned business for a 3rd shooting location. So everything will be going down this year. You'll be seeing a lot of my face in 2023. Be careful what you wish for. You just might get it.
You just might get it. Okay. Thanks for clarifying that. Okay, let's see. Where do we go? Sorry, I lost a bit. Okay. It says it's sad to see that Obsidian would brown nose for a racist white woman, and she can belittle Black people because, as Obsidian said, she put in the work.
Well, here's the thing. It's interesting to me that now we can talk about the brothers. So many brothers are brown nosing for Black women who don't see you as anything more than just a lick. Can we have that conversation? What are they doing for you, Black man? Let's really talk about it.
Well, that will be a conversation for another day. I'll say that much because I can give this into a whole nother topic. But I do know that perhaps I think there's a lot to be said. Partially why I have this channel here. There's certainly work that needs to be done among Black women as a whole. I can certainly agree with that. Not to say that there aren't good Black women out there. There obviously are, but there's a lot of issues that need to be addressed that I will not downplay. And modern women in general. I mean, this is partially why Pearly is successful, because there's men of all races who say that modern women and feminism has impacted all groups of women. Okay, Marcus Evans with the 5. It says, OG, as a fan, as a guy that admires your work, I'm kind of disappointed in you. Thank you for the 5. It says Legend 354 says, you're the only sister I've seen talking to a black man. Most of our sisters talk a big game about loving black men, but never have a conversation with us. Thank you for the 5. I try to make it a point for this to be a space where black men can go and share their perspective. That's really important to me, that we learned how to have conversations that are civil, that we learned how to respect each other. And sometimes the best thing is just to agree to disagree. That's okay too. But I never want to be a place where someone feels like they cannot share their point of view. Okay, I think you already showed that one. This is another one, did not. Thank you so much, DJ Jarvis, with the 199. I see this one. It says, it's very easy to be a black man ally. Just yell at videos who can't talk back, say the right things, and crown yourself easy. Thank you so much for the 5. Thanks for the 5. There's another one that says, so you think slavery isn't a big deal, or that is okay? She said it, with the 5.
No, I didn't. I don't think that slavery is a big. I don't think that slavery is not a big deal. That's never been my argument. My argument is that I went through line by line what she actually said, and I didn't find any evidence that she said that it wasn't a big deal. She didn't say that.
She just said that it was. She seems like it's embellished to try to.
She did say embellished. She did say that.
Yeah.
She linked that to Alex Haley's quote, or what she had said was Alex Haley's quote from Roots. She also made a really interesting point about various minority groups using the historical wrongs against them as a way to manipulate white people, right? And she's not wrong about that. She's got a point. I mean, black folk are quick to whip out the slavery card to guilt white folks. I mean, that's pretty much the business model in America with race hustling. I mean, that's the business model of Al Sharpton. That's the business model of Jesse Jackson. That's the business model of the NAACP. Let's be honest about that. We guilt white folks, make them feel real bad. That's the business model of Ibram X. Kendi. That's the business model of Ta-Nehisi Coates. That's the business model of Hannah Nicole Jones. I mean, that's the business model. Make white folk feel real guilty so they can write you a nice, big, fat, juicy check.
I would say that, first of all, you are absolutely right that there is a race grift, that there has been race grifters who unfortunately have helped. I mean, not helped, they've harmed, I think, the Black community by using real life experiences that have negatively impacted all of us and then use it as a way to pocket for their own benefits. With that said, to me, I don't think that means that I don't think that makes what has happened systematically any less harmful. I don't believe the things were embellished. I think there are obvious issues that have impacted Black men and do impact Black men today, hence the need, or correct me if I'm wrong, partially you started the Black Manosphere, correct? Was because you guys found that your experience was distinctive and that you guys did not always get along with the Manosphere, because some people said that they experienced racism. Am I wrong about that? That's partially why.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm looking at the chat room crawl and people saying I'm misrepresenting everything. I named specific names. in the litany of people that I just noted. You tell me that they're not race hustling. You tell me that they're not race grifting. You tell me that they're not slapping down the slavery card. You tell me that they're not, hustling folks, white folks, to make them feel guilty, to get cushy jobs, cushy positions, cushy teaching positions, book contracts, speaking engagements. You tell me that that's not happening with the specific names and groups that I mentioned. I defy you to prove me wrong.
No, there has absolutely been race hustling. Now, who and what and to what degree, that's a whole nother different discussion. I can agree, as somebody who actually does believe in reparations and does believe in the importance of that. I can also agree that the fight towards that has very much been a hustle for some people. This is me personally. And I'm not saying this everybody, but I think we obviously have a history of Black people using their position of power to undermine other Black people and using it to get their own money. And this is partially why things are in the condition that they are.
And here's another thing too. I know I wanted to jump on this while it's on my mind. The argument, see, I'm glad we're having this conversation because Pearl apologized for what she did. She straight up looked into the camera, said it's my fault. But that's not good enough for many Black folks. That's not good enough because we know what her real intentions are, right? So we got to get rid of her altogether. That's the real. See, this isn't about, understanding or reconciliation or justice. This is about making ourselves feel better. This is about revenge. This isn't about harmony or making things right. This is about vengeance. This is about get back. That's what this is.
Well,
and moreover, and I'll take it a step further. If the argument is that the lovely ladies in and around the Black Manosphere are real allies and so on and so forth, fine. I ask the brothers listening right now, when's the last time you saw a Black woman get on the camera, look dead in the eye, and say, this situation was my fault? When?
If I may, because you raise up some points. Now, this is some of the pushback that I've heard, because you mentioned she did issue an apology, which she later retracted. But nevertheless, she did. And also, I think it's important to note, we've seen this in the Black community, for example, right? Where you'll have a Black woman go on and say, oh, we love Black men, we this and this and this and that. And usually one of the first things that people will do is they'll look at the actions and they'll say, okay, well, is she saying she loves Black men, but then she got 5 baby daddies and she's in court trying to get that dude in jail and she is not married? Like, we're going to look at the actions of that person to determine whether or not she is serious. And so I don't think it's unfair for somebody to look in the situation and say, okay, she said this, but let's look at her actions. More recently, we had Sarah Garvey, who's now she's trying to take her channel, take it down. You've had other people come up and express concern, not to mention you had previous videos where she definitely went into her positions about slavery, which is like, why do you have so much interest in slavery if this is not
why should she have interest in slavery? She's an American citizen. And if the argument is going to be about reparations, who's going to pay it? The taxpayer. She's a taxpayer. So yeah, she does have legitimate purchase on that.
Okay,
she's not supposed to have an opinion. Wait a minute. She's not supposed to have an opinion. She's not supposed to express it. And the only acceptable opinion she's supposed to have is support for reparations. Is that it? Is that what we're doing now?
No, but what I'm saying is, with that said, I think to your earlier point, that also confirms about her speaking, and the way that she speaks definitely speaks to the American audience. So it's not just for British. It's not just upon what you said. She has a right to have a reparation. She has a right to speak about slavery in America and reparations, which she has a history of doing. So my bigger point is, I think when we look at the actions of Black people, we have to do better at not just saying their words, but looking at their actions. And so I think when you were alluding to the point earlier, just like, okay, she said she's sorry. Why is not enough? You have some Black people who are just like, okay, well, what are her actions show? Forget about the words.
Oh, you mean the actions previous to the Nick Fuentes interview?
Yeah, and even after, now with her retracting and going and saying that she's gonna, react vengeance in some, taking down channels. And so I think that's why, and this is already
she has the right to take down channels if those channels have her copyrighted content, and those owners of those channels are actively attempting to hurt her business. She's within her rights as a business owner to remove said copyrighted content from those channels. She's within her rights to do that.
Okay. With that said, though, you do understand why there would be people who will say, okay, how can I trust that?
You shouldn't. Here's another thing that cracks me up. Again, like I was saying earlier, we don't talk business. We talk emotions. We talk relationships. I have to like you. I have to agree with you. We don't talk business. That's fine. But the business solution to this is, don't watch Pearl. Don't subscribe to Pearl. Don't consume her content. Don't do it. But Black folk love hate watching. They love it.
Okay. Now, real quick, there are a few more super chats than I think I have like 2 more questions, and then we can get into some calls if you're open to it, Mr. Obsidian.
Yes, I would love to take calls.
Okay. Mrs. JC setting the record straight podcast says she still financially exploits her employees. Thank you for the 2. We have Dante Bryant says, what are they doing for you, Black men? Say it again. Oh man, with the 5. You got some supporters in the building. Jahar 81 with the 10, it says, as an avid watcher and supporter of Obsidian, I strongly agree with his stance on this topic, and other issues in Black America. It's funny how pro-Blacks dislike racism but display it themselves. Thank you for the 10 on the super chat. And it says, we have a lot of Black icons who race hustle hard, they make money off our history in that trigger word. That's absolutely true. It's sad to say that there are people, unfortunately, who've used our pain and profited off of it. That's true. I want to make sure I got all the other super chats. I think I did. Okay. All right. So on to the next question. Now, I know we briefly touched upon this, but I'd like to get your perspective on this a little bit more. So obviously, just Pearly Things alluded that she is against reparations. But she does fight for men's rights. However, the Black male political agenda put together by Dr. T.S. Johnson and other Black men in the Manosphere space advocates for Black male specific reparations in point number 13 and the Black male political agenda. Why would the Black Manosphere ally with a woman who is against Black male specific reparations when that's something that you guys advocate for?
Well, by that logic, we would be against Black people who themselves are against reparations. I told Jessica X on this issue, Professor Glenn Lowry, who's like considered like, a rock star in the academic world, he's against reparations. And I interviewed him about this issue like 4 or 5 years ago. And, so we're not going to do business with him too. There are Black Americans that don't like the idea of reparations. We're going to cut them off too. What this is really amounting to, aside from a witch hunt and the crucible, both of which I know you're familiar with, aside from that, this is really a kind of litmus test for purity. If you don't ideologically agree with me up and down the line, you're excommunicated. I mean, that's what it amounts to here.
Okay. So you're saying that the Black Manosphere, which advocates for Black male reparations, is still okay. Is still okay allying with somebody who is against reparations because there are other goals.
You do business with people that you don't agree with, and it happens all the time. See, in Black America, I gotta agree with you 100% in order to even consider doing business with you. How is that working out for us? How? To the pro-Black people in the audience, to the pro-Black men, how are you going to do business with somebody that you can only agree with on everything? How is that working out for you? Where's the evidence that actually works? And for the pro-Black women who are throwing in their lot with these guys, how is that working out for you? Because the last time I checked, y'all were all over there, bunched up over on Kevin Samuels' channel, the very picture of white patriarchy. You wanted the benefits. You wanted the benefits that brothers like him could get for you. Tell me I'm lying. You wanted the Eurocentric hypergamy standards that brothers like Kevin could deliver for you, ladies. You proved it by voting with your feet for damn near 3 years over there. So come on, man, let's cut the crap.
I don't disagree that we know Black women are largely feminists. By and large, I mean, I don't think there's any disagreement there. I just was curious, being that she came under scrutiny for her being against reparations. She even mentioned that on your show, and I know since the Black Manosphere advocates for reparations, I just was curious how that alliance would work, or what benefit you would gain from supporting somebody who's
it will work like any other alliance. Everybody here is either working with, and then more often than not, working for somebody that you 100% 10 toes down disagree with. Most white Americans disagree with reparations.
Yeah, they do. That's true.
Okay, that's a fact.
Yeah, they do.
So you can stop with this high-handed, ham-fisted, high on your high horse ideals. When this tape goes off and you step away from your smartphone that you spend over 5 hours a day on, I might add, you're going to end up working for Mr. Charlie, who is 10 toes down against reparations, and you're going to go to work and punch the clock and do what he tell you. Okay? So stop it.
Okay. Well, thank you for clarifying at that point. So to be clear, the Black Manosphere, although it does believe in Black male specific reparations, it is okay allying with those who do not, if it helps them achieve larger goals.
I work with people all the time that I don't agree with. Matter of fact, let's bring it back home to the ranch, right? How many black women really agree with the black manosphere on a lot of stuff? How many black women agree with black men, period, on a lot of stuff? The political outlook shows us that black men and black women are increasingly disagreeing to the point that it's starting to affect elections, local, state, and federal.
Well, this is why I'm glad we're having this conversation, because I must say, my husband actually was the one that alluded to the point of, I was talking about this is last week, what I was observing, and he alluded to the fact that like a lot of the movement was more political than it was, and he said something to the extent of black men and women are largely political enemies, at least on the online space. We see this politically; they are not necessarily on the same page, and I think this week has shown that to some extent. So, and not to get too far off track, but I thought that was an interesting point. Okay, yeah. I think, let's see. Now, does allying with Just Pearly Things help support financial goals that the Black Manosphere has set for itself?
It certainly could. It has the potential for it.
Okay. And that speaks back to your previous alliance of you may not agree on certain things, but on the things that matter, as you mentioned previously, investment, financial investment, overall goal, building wealth, that is where you can build an alliance.
Yeah.
Okay, that is really helpful. Okay, and then lastly, so this is always a question that this is always somewhat of a question that I've had. So does the Black Manosphere in general, does it support the value of like reproducing Black boys and Black families specifically?
It does.
Okay. With that said, how does encouraging interracial relationship or alliances, how does it help ladder up to that goal, in your opinion?
Well, ideally, it would get the lovely ladies of the communitas big behinds in gear and do what they need to do to prove themselves worthy of the men who are worth a damn. Competition is good. That was the argument, by the way, of Ralph Richard Banks. Mm-hmm. That was his argument in his Marriage for White People, that by Black women opening their options, it would spur competition among the brothers. What's good for the goose is good for the gander.
Mm-hmm. Now, I remember, weren't you the one that did a review of that, and you said it was largely disingenuous because he looked at a very small sample size of Black women that does not apply to like overwhelmingly 80-90% of Black women. It looked like the top 10%.
Well, that wasn't specifically my argument. That was the argument of other critics of his book.
Okay.
But to be fair, he specifically targeted the college-educated single Black women. So I can't really like fault him for having a focus of a book, because that's what authors do, is they focus on the subject. So that's number one. But number two, I never had a problem with his premise that I just laid out. I had a problem with his being dishonest about why those ladies were single. And I made that clear when I was writing at the time for for O'Shea Duke Jackson's web magazine, the Negro Manosphere. I still have those articles, and I do intend to publish them at a later date. So
okay. All right. Okay, so I see real quick super chat that says the type of videos Black women put on YouTube about aborting Black boys and putting Black men in jail, they make Nick Fuentes look friendly, but we are talking about Pearl. Again,
yes, yeah. You know what? Let me stop right there, because let's wake that up for a minute. So let's see, and this is what's fascinating. Again, in Black America, you can do the most horrendous stuff and sweep it under the rug of being Black. But relatively benign things on the part of white folks, we got to make a big hue and cry about. So you got Black women on public platforms calling for the genocide of Black boys. That's okay. But you got a white woman who just disagrees with reparations and makes a dumb remark about slavery, and now all of a sudden we ready to go march on Washington? Stop it.
Well, and again, I 100% agree with that point regarding the average Black woman not being in a position to morally police Black men when it comes to these issues, because as I mentioned before, if you are calling for the abortion of your own kid, like, you clearly have other issues. So it's like there is no issue there. I have talked about it right? I've saw Janika Marie talk about it, obviously Crimson Q, all those women, I have seen them come out against that. I think one of the reasons we're having this conversation is because when you're talking about the Black woman, as I alluded to before, who would seemingly be more in alignment with the ideals of the Black manosphere, they were disturbed, right, by the position that was taken by the Black manosphere. There was like, hey, what's going on? This is not right. And so that's why I wanted to seek understanding on what was going on and the intention and the motives, and more specifically, what the Black manosphere was getting out of this. But I don't think any of it, the ones that I'm talking about, the ones who are mad, right, are the ones who felt like this isn't right. Again, we're talking about the ones who have a past as being called a pick-me. They'd be more in alignment with the pick-me space. They'd be more in alignment with the ones that would be called mammies, all the time, different stuff. Right. The ones following, the divestiture swirler stuff, we already know that they're on a whole nother level. You know what I mean?
And what's interesting, the question about what the Black manosphere or me in particular is getting out of it, compared to what exactly? What was I getting out of it before? See, I find it interesting that we'll ask the question now that the white girl's in the middle of the frame, but we never asked the question before. And correct me if I'm wrong, wasn't I a simp for letting these ladies in the door? Wasn't I, being taken in by them and all the rest of it? But now all of a sudden that the white girl's in the door, now all of a sudden that previous simp appellation and me letting these ladies in the door and me caping and jumping out the window for these chameleons. And I hear what brothers say. Now all of a sudden that's been washed clean, right?
No, I think, I can't speak for everybody, obviously. As I mentioned before, I made this point a few months ago. I was like, look, you over here swirling or whatever, this is the byproduct of swirling. You're going to have white people in the conversation with relationships, whatever. Where this issue took off was regarding around the topic of cultural gatekeeping, saying things that are considered disrespectful to the experience of our ancestors. I think we can all agree that if those things were said or alluded to with the Jewish community, then I don't think we'd be having this conversation. You know what I mean?
It's interesting. It's interesting about the gatekeeping conversation, because you and I have had this conversation before, and I want to revisit it here right now. I have asked consistently, what do Black women owe the community, and how does it manifest? I have been asking this question for years now, and I can never get a straight answer. See, the premise is that the only ones that are keeping, watch and keeping vigil over the community are Black men. I said that's a bunch of bunk. Black women cultural gatekeep too. But see, this is another problem. This is another contradiction with a lot of Black women. They want it both ways. They want to be able to determine when things get closed off and when they don't. That's hence divesting, hence swirling. See, they want to have that option. They want that on the table, but when it's not advantageous to them, now all of a sudden we got to keep it Black. Crystalline Carrons, and I recently had a debate with her about this topic, and it was funny. She was going on and on about how I treated her bad years ago, and that she's a Black woman that deserved it. I said, wait a minute, now all of a sudden you Black? Now all of a sudden you Black because your fat is in the fire now. You need somebody to pull your bacon out the fire. Now all of a sudden you Black. I thought that Brad was a better man. I thought that Seth was a better man. I thought that Kyle was a better man. I thought that Jared was a better man. How come they can't protect you?
So again, I've had plenty of things to say against that whole ideology that I find to be very toxic and demeaning. I think one final question I'll leave with you, and then we'll open up the call lines, is, again, this started around some of the back and forth I saw within the Black YouTube space, right? For example, you had O'Shea Duke Jackson, who was a part of the Black manosphere, who stepped away because he felt those comments were very were disrespectful. Same with MTR. Same with, you have the Danica, the Courtney Michelle. Again, these are different people, two Black women who very much have aligned with the Black manosphere. And you recently did the live that said, okay, we're washing your hands clean. We're washing your hands clean of these particular women who were previously a part of the Black manosphere, also Six being one of them, or allied with them. And now we feel like just Pearly things is a better deal. My question is, again, are you saying it's regarding that situation particularly, those three content creators that I mentioned, were you saying you feel like she was a better deal because she helped investment wise. She helped with the overall financial goals. She helped, I guess, with the overall reach as it pertains to the Black, with the Black Manosphere's perspective, more so than the other female content creators. Like, I guess
yes, and yes.
Okay.
And you know, it's interesting. You mentioned Six the Goddess. Now, to be fair, Melanie King's a bit different, but you know, it's interesting. Six the Goddess, you know, had Kevin before Pearl did. Years before Pearl did. What happened? I'll tell you what happened. Six the Goddess thought that her looks was going to be what put her over the top, and Pearl proved her wrong.
So I'm not as familiar with Six the Goddess's content. I've seen a few stuff here and there, so I'm not totally sure.
No, you're familiar with her briefly being associated with Kevin Samuels.
I am familiar, and I think I've seen a handful of her videos, and I think there was one or two in particular where she made it clear. She's like, I'm not for everyone. I'm not necessarily trying to blow up because I know my message. I know my perspective is not. It's not for everyone.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to taking some calls. I'm hoping that some people will call in because I have some interesting witty retorts for their barbs of critique. So I'm willing to let's get it on.
Yeah, well, again, I really appreciate you coming on and having this sharing your point of view. I think I now have a bit more of an understanding as to really the Black Manosphere and really the ultimate goals and their allies. From what I've taken away from this, let me correct me if I'm wrong. Although overall goal is the best woman for the team.
Yep.
Right. And the goals and the values that the Black Manosphere has, whatever woman is willing to get alongside that, she's a woman that is going to
and let's be honest about something here, Shay. Hasn't Black women overall made it abundantly clear over and over and over that they're not going to get on board? I mean, I was just on Clubhouse earlier today, and we had to have the 15,155 million of discussion about submission. We got to go round and round and round and round about this stuff. Listen, Black women don't want to do it. Period. They don't want to do it. But they expect you, Black man, to become the best version of yourself and take them as they are. Even Black, they have songs about this. They have articles about this. That is the view of Black women. They want it both ways. And I say it's time to open the field and let the chips fall where they may.
So the best one for the team, as you put it, whoever's willing to help invest in the overall goals, financial goals, as you mentioned, whoever can be a best ally as far as reaching those goals, helping to build wealth, helping to build influence, that is who the Black Manosphere is going to be allying with, regardless.
And we want it to be sisters, but they're going to have to earn it. They got to earn it. Okay. Whosoever has the microphone, if she be worthy, shall have the power of Obsidian.
You guys, some of y'all late. We already asked him about slavery, and he reclarified his points multiple times that he did not think that what Miss Pearly said or alluded to was anything offensive. So some of you guys are late. If you are late, that's fine. You can go back and catch the replay. I asked him about his perspective on reparations. He also said that the Black Manosphere does not feel the need to ally with people who are pro-reparations. She is not pro-reparations, although the Black Manosphere does advocate for Black male reparations. They don't agree there, but they have other alliances that they do agree on, primarily be potential for wealth building, financial gains, things of that nature. So with that said, I'm going to open up the call lines.
Thank you.
Take some calls. I appreciate you coming on and sharing your perspective. Yeah. So I'm gonna drop the call lines, and you guys keep it respectful, please, as much as possible. Let's try to eliminate. I know Mr. Obsidian doesn't mind. He doesn't mind insults, but I would like it to you guys to try to be nice, please, or not. Nice, but just try to pretend like y'all got some home training. That's all I'm gonna say. Okay, and I think I did.
This is going to be fun. Let's have some fun.
It says, listen, ABC 123, don't bring an admitted pro-fascist and neo-Nazi on your show, and Kiki and he it up with him. Okay. Then I see respect to Shay and Obsidian. Thank you, Security Boss. I love your content. You guys go check her out if you haven't. She has good content that these lovely ladies of the community need to hear. She's been married for almost 3 decades. She has a family. She has a business. She has a son. She is happy. So she's who y'all need to be listening to and binge watching. Okay, so please go check her. Go check her content out. Okay.
Yes, TLA has
good stuff.
TLA has had many good things to say about her.
Oh yeah, she's great. Okay, it says her point was that you question Black women in the manosphere space, but you gave a white woman a pass. A white woman who showed her hand. So I thank all of you guys. And then it says, what we're talking about, how Pearl has surpassed and gets more breaks than people like Shay or Crimson, not the Black wines who hate us. Yeah, that's what I said before. I was like, we know that there's a whole bunch of different of the abort Black male baby ones out there. We're referring
so she says gets more breaks. What do you mean by gets more? I don't understand that.
I think what they're alluding, and maybe if they want to call up, because I don't want to speak for them. If you want to call up and give your perspective, feel free to. Okay, so it looks like I have the two who I got back here. If you guys, okay. All right, so it looks like we have, I think that's the Black Authority in the back, but I see it looks like there's
the Black Authority.
Okay, well, okay. So I'm gonna bring up. We got a few calls here. I'm gonna try to figure out the best way to handle this because I want to make sure that things are done decently and in order as much as possible. So let me start with let's see who we got. So I think it's CBP Film. What do you have on the topic?
Well, what I have on the topic is that, and I'm a supporter of Obsidian, but I also disagree with Obsidian, especially on this topic. And I know we disagree politically because he's a conservative and I'm a progressive. But if you are sitting here being intellectually dishonest and saying that this woman didn't say anything wrong, just to cape for her for whatever reason, and then say that the men that do follow you, because the majority of the men that follow you are saying that she did something wrong, while the other half is saying she didn't. And I know you're going to go with the other half because those are the ones that agree with you. But you know what I'm saying, for this woman to belittle, you know what I'm saying, the people you say you care about or that you're fighting for history, and then for you to just be like, oh, well, F that. She put in the work. It's profit. It's profit over everything. Honestly, this is why I don't like conservatives, because y'all are profit over everything, even your integrity. You are willing to destroy the Black manosphere, you know what I'm saying, where a whole bunch of Black men from all different perspectives to actually support, because all Black men see what's going on, no matter their political affiliation. And you allowed a white girl to come on here and say some bullshit, excuse me, to say some nonsense. And then not only, right, is this, are you taking up for this woman? You know what I'm saying? Other people have tried to explain it to this 26-year-old woman. And then on top of that, this 26-year-old woman comes from a wealthy family. So I know she knows. And another thing I want to say is I find it interesting that a whole bunch of Black conservatives find Black people getting reparations to be wrong. But yet these same conservatives don't talk about how the same slave masters that owned our asses got reparations. And they don't see a problem with that. So I'm going to drop that. I'm going to land that plane there because I don't want to take up everybody else's time. But it is what it is.
Yeah, I'd like to respond to CBP Films. I'm glad that he called in, and I appreciate his comment. First, I would ask him to substantiate that the Black manosphere has been the worst for just Pearly things. I see no evidence for that. Certainly don't see any evidence with myself. Number two.
But of course you would say that, though.
But it's true. I mean, I'm asking you to provide evidence. You made a claim. I'm asking you to provide evidence. You said that everything is wrecked in the Black manosphere and it's worse off. Okay.
What I'm saying to you is that it is causing a divide. Regardless of what you say, I don't have time to hold on.
That's not what you said earlier.
No, saying that, but no, I'm saying, but that's what I'm saying. I don't need you to, but I don't need you. Look, I don't need you to say, I don't need you to tell me what I'm saying. I'm telling you what I'm saying, but I don't need you to tell me what I'm saying, sir. I don't need you to tell me what I'm saying, sir. I'm telling you what I'm saying.
And I can just tell you exactly what you said.
And I could talk over you too.
And I'm asking you what you said. I'm asking you to provide evidence. No,
it's evident. No, saying it's like didn't Duke O'Shea leave? Didn't Duke O'Shea leave?
Show me the numbers.
Didn't O'Shea?
Show me the
I don't have the numbers. You know I don't have the numbers.
You don't have anything.
Okay, so
right, you're being intellectually dishonest, dude, because you know I don't have the YouTube numbers. You know I don't have the fucking YouTube numbers. You're sitting here being intellectually dishonest because you know I don't have it. That's what you do, Obsidian. You a con man, bro. Like, I fuck with you and I listen to you because we agree on some things. But overall, with your conservative perspective, because you like the profit over everything, like, none of this stuff has been on Pearly things of what actually came out her.
Okay, hey guys, so sorry, real quick, we're having some connection issues. Let's try to be respectful. Let's go one at a time. So I can actually hear what's going on.
I'm sorry. I just can't stand these dishonest people.
I know it can get really passionate and really heated. I want to make sure that you feel respected and he leaves feeling respected. So like, yeah, let's
respect the truth.
Dude, you don't respect the truth of nothing. This racist white girl literally said that black people being tortured was embellished. She said slavery was an embellishment, my guy. That came out your friend's mouth. You want to talk about what I said? What did Pearly say? Pearly said it's not true.
Evidence that proves that the black manosphere is worse off. Where's the evidence?
Because guess what? Three of your leaders have left. I mean, one of your leaders have left. You know what I'm saying? A lot of men are leaving. You know what I'm saying? A lot of men are leaving. And these are men that, because this was supposed to be the black, this was supposed to be the black manosphere. Most black men.
They leave every week.
Okay, so this is on to, let's move on to the next caller for now. Maybe they can speak to the question that was previously posed. I know Mr. City, you said, what is the evidence? Real Second Exodus, do you have anything you would like to add, or do you have other points that you would like to raise?
Yes, thank you for having me on the show. Hello, Obsidian and everyone else on the chat.
Hey, what's going on, man?
Pretty good. I see good points on both sides. I think the issue is that we don't necessarily understand politics in the right way. Let me explain it this way. We have a lot of political capital that we can use to our advantage when it comes down to relationships and community building. One example is, let's say, Taiwan. They use their political capital in such a way that they can control geopolitical events, right? And they get a lot out of their vote. Same thing that's going on with the BRICS nations and in Africa. The same thing that can happen with black men and black women's relationships. If we were able to politically focus on the things that matter, which is the economics part, I'm sure that comes back to the reparations, right? If we can focus on fixing our communities, establishing connections with perhaps other countries, who's to say that China wouldn't come in and have something to say for black communities, right? And so I know that can be a threat. And so there's going to be pushback. But if black men come together instead of running to other countries, and don't get me wrong, I get it. I understand why the passport bro movement is it's needed for discussion, but I don't think it's the ultimate answer. So reparations.
What do you think the ultimate answer is? Reparations.
It depends on the person. Let me put it like this. Okay. I don't look at the general population. I don't go to Native Americans and recent immigrants from Ireland and ask them, do you think reparations is okay?
Okay.
No, I don't think that. I don't think they took a vote when they went into West Central Africa and stole people from those lands. Mm-hmm. I don't think there was a vote for that. I don't think the people were involved in a vote. So this is actually a grievance between the governments of those nations, mm-hmm. grievance against the American government, and actually a grievance against the Vatican Church, the Catholic Church in Spain and Portugal. So.
And what does this have to do with the black manosphere again? I'm trying to make the connection.
Yeah.
Socioeconomic empowerment, because when we're talking about women not feeling secure and respected, that's because a lot of men are not able to pull themselves up financially in a position to take.
Reparations is supposed to do that.
Reparations is supposed to correct a wrong that was committed.
So if you're an incompetent nincompoop, reparations is supposed to fix that.
Well, our ancestors were incompetent for allowing other nations to come in and steal us from the continent.
So what does the ancestors have to do with what's going on right now in the year 2023?
That's a great question. Whatever happened in the past leads up to your present and eventually your future. Same thing. When the other nations enslaved the other people, that generational wealth was passed down to their descendants, which is why we're having a discussion about just Pearly things and someone like Chaz here. So there's a big difference in how we look at things. Things that happened in the past affects things that are in our present. So
well, this has been a very interesting call. Thank you.
All right. Well, let's move on. I think there's Matt Kinsey, and then I'm trying to think who else came. We'll see. But yeah, Mackenzie, do you have any thoughts for Old Man?
I have maybe about 3 questions or so. They're short. How you doing, Obsidian?
Hey, what's going on, Mackenzie? How you feeling?
Hey, man. I want to ask you. My first question for you is, who made you the gatekeeper of the Manosphere, of the Black Manosphere?
Who made me the gatekeeper? I don't recall running for that post.
Because you was mentioning earlier, before we started taking calls, you was mentioning earlier about allying and what Black women need to the criteria, what Black women need to have to be able to fit in this ally group banning with the Black Manosphere. Like, who made you the gatekeeper now? It's like you're crowning yourself, it's like you're crowning yourself to be the gatekeeper.
I never wanted to be a gatekeeper. I did want to be a burgermeister though, but I never wanted to be a gatekeeper.
All right. Okay.
And, yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Let's scratch that question though. Okay. How much is Daily Wire and all right conservative groups paying you to ally with Pearl or try to save Pearl? You know.
Oh my God, I wish I could get a contract like Dr. Jordan Peterson with Daily Wire. I wish, in my dreams.
But you know. Okay, I'm glad you said that, because I know come election time, you guys are gonna start showing your true colors. You know, because it's
everybody knows where I stand politically.
All right.
And that's regardless as to election season. Everybody knows that I'm a conservative. Everybody knows that.
I mean, and being a conservative is not a bad thing.
Everybody knows I'm a proud Black Republican. Everybody knows that.
It's not a bad thing that
everybody knows that I proudly voted for Donald J. Trump as President of the United States and leader of the free world. Everybody knows that.
I think Donald Trump should be president. I like Donald Trump. First of all, I'm just letting you know that.
Okay.
But what I see going on is this whole thing that's going on with Candace Owens' manager being Just Pearl's manager, and you caping for Pearl and all this and that. I know
what's your problem with Candace Owens? She's not an elected official.
This is an alt-right wing conservative.
She's not an elected official, sir. What's your problem with her?
Because she could use all the stuff that's going on right now to influence and start doing the stuff that she's doing with Nick Fuentes and talking about slavery and all this Fox News talking points.
Have you heard me talk about slavery, sir?
What's going to happen?
Have you heard me talk about slavery, sir?
You was talking about slavery earlier. With
only in relation to Just Pearly things. When have you heard me talk about talk about slavery rather, not connected to Just Pearly things? In other words, when over the past is April now, so we're going into 4 months. We just came out of the first quarter of the year. Other than Just Pearly things, when have you heard me talk about slavery?
Okay, this seems like it is an alt-right wing conservative psyop with Just Pearly, and then votes is election is gonna be a part of it. It is a way to
how so when I've already let everybody know where I stand politically. The Black Manosphere tends to lean center right generally. I mean, exactly what's the psyop again?
Alt-right wing conservative psyop. Basically, we already know that there's a lot of men who are conservative. First of all, Black men are inherently they have conservative values. Okay, a lot of us do. That's true. And what's going on? The vacuum that's going on, Just Pearly filled it with Candace Owens' manager being her manager. You don't see the political connections and come election time and all this and that. And guys like Anton Daniels, who's trying it so hard to save Pearl. We must save Pearl. How much are these guys paying you guys behind the
Is your question is, am I being paid to say what I say? Is
okay, if you're not being paid now, there's a potential.
You do realize that is the national pastime.
That you guys are willing to
that is the Negro national pastime is pocket watching. You do.
You are a compromised Negro like the rest of us.
You do realize that the Negro national
pastime. Matt Kenzie, can I ask you a question?
The Negro national pastime is indeed pocket watching.
I'm not
Matt Kenzie.
Question.
Have you ever gone to school with white people? That's my question to you.
Have I ever gone to school with white people?
No, Muhammad, not for you.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I'm asking,
of course.
Matt McKenzie, have you gone to school with white people?
Of course, my first girlfriend was white.
Okay, so have you experienced real racism then?
Yes, I have.
So aren't you a compromised Negro because you had a white girlfriend way back in the day?
Well, guess what? My views are we date who we want. We can't. Okay, so we cannot, blame who we fall in love. We fall in love with whoever we want. We fall in love.
Oh, we fall.
But listen. Let me finish. Nope. Do not cut me off. Let me finish.
No, go ahead, please.
Let me finish.
How can you say that she's racist?
Listen. Let me finish. I can't even finish.
They say when a man is burying himself, don't get in his way. Just
can I please finish? Okay. All right. I don't look at television and see like what's going on with interracial dating, where they have like tons of commercial where black woman, white men, black woman, white men, and there's very little commercials where it's black men, white women. If there is commercials about that, it's either the black guy is like in a submissive position and all of this and that. I don't look at those. When I was 14 years old, when I dated my first girlfriend was a white girl. I didn't look at those. It was just she was my friend. That was all. That was it. It had nothing to do with anything else. Gotcha. It had nothing to do with political or anything.
But you're saying what I'm doing is politically motivated.
Potentially.
Well, you could ask me,
like the first guest, which is your fan, was talking to you earlier.
But you could ask me, Obsidian, is what you're doing right now and what seems to be a defense of just Pearly things politically motivated? And then I would just simply say no.
Matt McKenzie, what makes you think that Obsidian Ali is running for? Is he running for presidency or something, or running for political party? That's what I want to know.
Hey, real quick, and now if I may, I'd like to stay on topic. I don't think this is a McKenzie, background check. That might be it for another reason, but I'd like to stay on topic regarding what Mr. Obsidian has alluded to regarding the Black Manosphere, JPT, allies, all of that. So let's try to stay on topic there. And if you guys want to discuss farther with Matt Kenzie, perhaps that's another live or another topic.
Yes, can I ask something? This is Flip DR. Can I talk now?
This is which one?
Flip DR.
Sure. Yeah. What you got?
Yeah, and you're familiar with me, of course. I'm a regular donator to you, and
yes, thank you.
But I must tell you that, man, you struck a different chord with me in this time, man.
Okay.
Because I was one of the first person that actually popped on the panel. You let me on. I thank for that, and I told you about that Jason Black interview and Pearly Deans and how I felt about that situation. Okay. And with that said, if that was a white man that said the same comments that Pearly Dean said, you would have knowing how you are, you would know that's racist. Come on, that's intellectual. Anybody knows.
When have I gone after a white man for making those statements?
I'm saying if it was a white man that made the statement, everybody would recognize it as racism, as what it is, right? But when it came from Pearly Deans, there's a whole people looking at a different light.
Are you asking me a question here, or?
I'm actually saying a statement because we already know the answer. I'm not asking a question because I know the answer. It's rhetorical.
But it's questioning.
Okay, if you have a different answer, then go ahead.
I can't answer something that was never asked. This is
So I think from what I understand, you're saying, look, if it was a white man, we wouldn't be having this conversation. He already went in. He would have said that it was racist.
So this is a question of sexism.
Yeah,
I'm basically misandrous against white racist men.
No,
that's part because we recognize that's part of it. Where sexism is kind of part of the topic, even though it's not talked about, and that's a different.
So, are you asking me, am I being sexist and misandrous against white racist men?
No. That's not it. I just mentioned the fact that is perception sometimes is people the poor Pearly things. She's a woman. She's a white woman. Pearly, the men might like her because there are a lot of incels that might like her, so they might look at a different slant. But if it was a man, for example, right away, that same person that pro Pearly things like you, for example, stop picking on her, leave her alone. But that could be sexism because she's a woman.
You do realize I have interviewed racists before, right? You do know that, right?
Say it again.
I have interviewed white male racists before, right? You do know that.
Okay, I understand that, and I'm sure you're pretty hard on them, rightfully so, which you should be on Pearly things. And then, for example, let me just say, I don't want to dominate the conversation, but let me know my last point. If this was Jews that said this, for example, if Pearly things would just say this, the same thing she said against black people with the slavery, if she would just say this, that she feel that the Jews Holocaust, so-called Holocaust, is embellished, what would happen to her?
If it was Jews listening to that?
No, if she would refer, since referring to blacks and their slavery, if she was to put that and put it as Jews, that their Holocaust, so-called claims of Holocaust, was embellished, what would happen to her?
I would imagine that the ADL would spring into action, just like the NAACP would spring into action.
So why can you be a supporter and spring into action?
I'm not a member of the NAACP or the ADL, sir.
Okay, but Obsidian,
he's a member of Just Pearly.
Yes, that's true, and it's a bad look, right?
I didn't know I was a member of Just Pearly. I didn't know Just Pearly had an organization with a membership card.
Okay, yeah. Finish your point.
This is the last thing I gotta say. When I would listen to your live when Pearly was up there, and there was a black woman that gave a comment. It was a negative comment to her Pearly things, and you're going to call her a bitch, right? You know what?
Yes.
Don't ever do that again. As far as you're a man, if you ever go in a public forum, right? When you disrespecting a black woman in front of a white woman, that's
what if she disrespects my house? Then what?
Who cares about your stinking house? Who cares about that?
Well, I don't care about your couch. I put my feet all over your couch. Put my feet on your couch, nigga. I put my feet all over your couch. I don't care nothing about your couch. I put my feet all over your couch.
This is not your literal house.
I don't give a damn about your couch.
Yeah, this is YouTube.
F your couch, nigga. I put my feet on your couch, nigga.
Okay, so I think we're ready to move on to the next question. Game Changer, what do you got in the topic?
Okay, so this is mainly directed towards you, Shay, because I see that in your back and forth exchange that you were trying to really understand the depth of why so many men feel the way that they do about this particular situation. You were kind of circling around that, so I wanted to help you out with that. So if you look at American history, particularly the former General Benedict Arnold, basically during the American Revolution, he decided to betray not only the Revolutionary Army, he decided to also betray his own servicemen. And the reason that he did this was simply put for the money. So we have to be very careful about who we choose our leaders to be. Because what winds up happening in the case of Benedict Arnold, he left the American Army, or excuse me, the Revolutionary Army for the British Army for pay. I think he got like 12,000 pounds versus 6,000 pounds, something to that regard. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So for that additional 6,000 pounds, what wound up happening was he led a British army against his own former troops, many of whom died as a result of his poor leadership and lack of commitment to a cause, this cause being liberty. So when determining your leaders, you must make sure that their cause aligns with yours. And if proven otherwise, if you get any hint of it, whether their cause is to sell out whatever organization you are a part of to, say, gay people or women or white women, it doesn't matter. Their integrity is compromised, and your life is at stake. And I don't want to say your life is at stake in this particular instance, but instinctively men are going to be against someone like that when they sense that in them, because it's a matter of life or death to men. That's why we feel that way. And I want to give that perception to you because I know obviously you're a woman.
Interesting. No, I think that's kind of what I walked away learning. I think he spoke to, correct me if I'm wrong, I'm saying, but you spoke to the importance of investment, right? And basically who's willing to compete and who's willing to help reach the ultimate goal and help boost the financial and wealth incentives of the Black manosphere. So I think that's what you've alluded to, Game Changer.
Yeah, I mean, if somebody's only interest is financial, then they are destined to betray you. So you have to be hyper aware of that for your own safety. And if somebody is, their primary interest is money, then they are willing to betray whatever it is you believe in. So men are hyper aware of that. And that's why you see so much pushback in the chat room.
Okay. Mr. Obsidian, do you want to speak to that? Or are you, because from what I understand, correct me if I'm wrong.
I would like to respond to that. So my response to that is, I find it fascinating that since we're talking about American political figures and drawing analogies, Theodore Roosevelt, Republican president, delivered a speech in Paris. It became known as the In the Arena speech. That's not the official title, but it became known as that because of the portion of the speech where, and I'm paraphrasing, he says, the credit the credit goes to the man that's in the arena, not the critic. And it's easy to criticize those in the arena from your safety of your armchair in front of your computer screen. The great thing about America is that all of us have the opportunity to step up and lead, but so few do so. And yet they have so much to say. If I'm not doing the job, what are you waiting for? Make the investment, put yourself out there, get your ass kicked, and get out of the cheap seats. Anybody can go in the cheap seats. Anybody can do that. So if the brothers in the chat room or if there are brothers on this panel who feel this way, what are you waiting for? Put your face out there, put your name out there, make the investment, and do the damn thing. And then we'll see if you can do better.
I do want to acknowledge a super chat real quick from Tulu Amoba. It says, what's the point of putting Black in front of Manosphere if we don't hold non-Blacks accountable for slander? Just acknowledge you hate Black women, Obsidian.
Actually, I don't hate Black women at all. I'm a big fan of Black women, particularly the Black women's movement, especially when I'm walking right behind it.
Okay, so on to the next. Let's see who else we have. Game Changer, I don't know if you had anything else you wanted to add. Or if not,
no. Well, I just want to say, yes, each of you behind the comfort of your computer can choose to lead if you want to. You can also choose who you follow. And as an American, you have the right to choose who you follow. Don't follow traitors. It ends in your demise.
And I agree. I think that you should follow people who have demonstrated the will to get up off their behind and follow the people that they believe in. And I didn't speak over you, sir. I think that they have every right to follow behind people who have demonstrated the ability to get off their behind and make something happen. So I agree. I think that if you don't like what I'm doing, the door swings both ways. Find somebody that you can believe in.
Okay. To the audience, Benedict Arnold made something happen. Is that what you wanted to happen?
And to the audience, Teddy Roosevelt made a whole lot of things happen, including being president of the United States. And I think that a leader of the free world delivering a speech in a foreign land about not paying attention to people who are in the cheap seats of life and instead paying attention to the people that are actually in the arena really speaks for itself.
Can I just say something right quick? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I have a problem with the disingenuousness because it's like, okay, you can't criticize me because you broke. That's pretty much what is being said here. You cannot criticize me because you might be broke and you're not putting in the same work I'm putting in. So how can you criticize me on my, excuse me for lack of using a better term, but on my coonery when you are at a lower economic scale than me? This is why. Hold on, no, sir, I'm not finished. This is why I do not like capitalists, because capitalists will lead you down a straight each and every time because everything is about profit. Obsidian, unfortunately, doesn't really give a fuck about black people. You know what I'm saying? I mean, regardless of what he say, because if he did, he would have checked this white girl and said, you know what? Not only did somebody else check you about it, you know what I'm saying? You knew exactly what you're saying. You're 26 years old. You should be able to go and research this, you know what I'm saying, and find out the truth. But no, you came on here and disrespected not only me and my woman, but every man that follows me. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I understand that a lot of men that follow him, they think on the same conservative mindset. But at the end of the day, people, this is what capitalism does. It doesn't care about them. It's just about profit.
I would like to respond to that, please.
Can I ask something?
I would like to respond to that, please.
I
find it fascinating that the gentleman in question wants to speak for the lovely Miss Brown Sugar, and she has registered absolutely no consternation or outrage or offense at what Just Pearly Things said at all. I find it interesting that he's more outraged for Miss Brown Sugar than she is. I find that interesting. Second,
I tend to care for more people.
I'll let you finish, bro. I'll let you finish. Secondarily, I don't think that this is a matter of money at all in terms of leadership or not. Like I said, the great thing about America is that we all have the opportunity to step up front. And I think that we need more brothers that are doers than talkers. If you don't like the way something is going, do something about it. If you don't like it, do something about it. Make the investment, put your face out there, and lead.
Yeah. CPB film, I want to ask you about what happened about Shira 7 and Cynthia G. Why wasn't there an outrage for either of these people? Cynthia G is worse than the most racist white woman you will find.
Hold on a minute. If you're going to sit there,
let's deal with it.
Let's try to keep the questions on topic, please. Like I said, if we want to ask individuals questions and their lineage, or that's in the topic. But right now,
but Shay, can I answer that just real quickly, if you don't mind, Miss Shay?
Well, real quickly, and then we'll move on to the next.
Okay, I'll answer that real quickly. There was outrage. I don't know what y'all are talking about when y'all bring up that talking point, but literally black men over Twitter, Facebook, and everything was talking about that and saying that, hey, man, this effing whore, because that's what I'm gonna call Cynthia, you're a whore, is saying that abort black male babies. So black men actually did do something about that. Matter of fact, this channel also covered it. So, sir, when you say there was no outrage, please be factual about what you're saying before you come up and say it to me. Thank you.
All right. So I do want to make sure I'll acknowledge just super chats, and then I think next is marriage or pain. I think marriage and politics. This is Pookie Miss Prime. Obsidian would sell out his own woman for a sniff of Pasty Pearl's discharge. This guy continues to ride Kevin Samuel's coat tail and does no work.
Oh, okay. So let's look at that. This is coming from somebody who we don't know what he does for a living. We don't know where he is. He's not LinkedIn level. He hides behind an avatar. He's done absolutely nothing for the Black Manosphere. People don't know him. People can't reach out and touch him. People don't meet him. I mean, it's kind of laughable. You know, only in the Black community are people who have nothing behind their name get to have the same dais and have the same weight as people who do. It's like Mudfoot being able to dress down Barack Obama. Only in Black America can that happen. Only in Black America.
What average person is talking to Barack Obama? Well, are you comparing yourself to Barack? Are you comparing yourself to Barack Obama, my guy? But my dude, you're a YouTube.
I would not. Actually, I would not.
You're a YouTube radio host.
Actually, I would not. I would say that I am not Barack Obama. I am not president of the United States and leader of the free world. So no. But my point was that only in Black America do people with no track record, no discernible track record, get to attempt to upbraid people who do have a track record. You may not agree with it. You may not like it. You may not like that individual, but they do have some type of track record, and they're being upbraided by people who have none. That's my point.
Well, if that's a case and you're a conservative, sir, You know what I'm saying? That goes, you go against the United States principle, because the United States, especially if you look at the Constitution, if you read it, I'm pretty sure you have. You know what I'm saying? Then it talks about how the people have the right to go at the elites. That's what that whole document is about. Hold on a minute, sir. Yes, it does. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Yes, that's what it's about. It was, you know what I'm saying? The whole thing about the United States government was making sure that elites don't run this country. And it happened anyway. That's what those old white men didn't want to happen.
Said nothing about
okay. All right, sir.
All right. What was Pearl's track record?
So, okay. Oops. So, I do want to make sure I give our Payne a chance to weigh in, because he's been patiently waiting. And then I think Arsenal, I don't know if I know you've asked a few questions, but I want to make sure if you have any points you can mention, and then Jason C. So our Payne,
you want me to go?
Yeah, our Payne,
you can hear me? Yeah, I see that nobody wants to be on camera. I should do the same thing as everybody else. But listen,
it's all good.
Let me first say I appreciate you having this channel. I like what you do, Sade. It's very good. Yeah, listen, I like Obsidian. I like a lot of people in the Manosphere. I'm retired, so I get around. So I try to stay even keel. What's the most distressing thing is how the emotionalism of the men are about this issue, about Pearly things. As a black man, I'm 64 years old. And some of you guys are past, midlife and all that kind of stuff. Have you ever talked to a white person that gave the proper respect for slavery? I talked to hundreds of white people I worked with in my whole career. I never left a conversation with a white person who had anything good enough for my satisfaction about the horror of slavery. That didn't make me go into a huddle and go crazy that everybody around me is a racist. You know, I mean, we got to have a little level of discernment. What's happening to this sphere, Black Manosphere or whatever, is absolutely disgraceful. Over this white woman. Listen, I hear this guy, the brother, talk about Cynthia G. The outrage over what she says and her 100,000 or 200,000 subscribers never came to this level of outrage or people getting around. So and that's the most despicable thing I ever heard. Now, I'm going to just finish. I'm going to finish. You can say anything you want. You can have a position, but all I hear is a lot of sign language against Obsidian and Anton Daniels and people like that. That's no way to have an argument. You're supposed to stand on your square, have something cogent to come back at, but you got to go hard pressed to say that anything Pearl says has anything to do with our future. Listen, as black people, without reparations, in 150, 170 years, we have captains of industry. We have, I'm not even talking about athletes and entertainers. We have so many successful black people walking around in marriages, in communities. How did we get there under all of this oppression, Jim Crow, all the kind of things to hold us back, and yet we still survive and thrive? And how did that happen, right? Because we move forward. That doesn't say what happened to us is any less despicable, and it's true. The remnants of slavery still impact us today. But the biggest remnant is the fact that we can't let go of this victimization shit, man. I have my circle of people that I'm around. I have a couple of guys, they make a lot of money, gals who make a lot of money. But every time they tell me about oppression, I said, you make over $250,000 a year. How are you going to tell me that you're oppressed when you make 5 times the average white man? 5 times the average white man. So I mean, I'm not saying none of that stuff is not important, but how important is it to our future? That's all I'm saying. So reparations, the only problem I have with reparations is everybody talks about this big bundle of money. How about, how about tax breaks? How about education vouchers? How about the loophole in the 13th Amendment being closed? How about closing private prisons? How about giving us irrevocable voting rights? Shit like that that's tangible that we could point to and say, yeah, this is going to help us out. How about getting rid of the
money is intangible?
Wait, you didn't let me finish. Yeah, and then for all the people who were wronged, and you could actually trace back to land being stolen and all that, like I think the Georgetown people who got money and some other people where their land was stolen. Yeah, they should be made whole in some way. But just giving out this thing about San Francisco giving $5 million to 50,000 residents. You mean the people who just broke into Walmart and stole all the shit out of it? They should get a $5 million check. I mean, this be practical. How about that? So I'm just saying, I don't want to say I'm right and all of you guys on the panel are wrong, but we should be having a discourse that keeps us moving in the right direction. You're killing Obsidian or killing any I call them blackity blacks. We don't need that. We need all of us and our things moving in the right direction. Just Pearly thing is a blip on the radar. And we can't say that some people are after her just because she's white. But even her being who she is, that doesn't mean another person can't have 1 million subs if they do the right thing. It's not like it's a zero-sum game. So anyway, that's all I have to say.
Okay, so it didn't sound like there was no question.
I mean, I don't have no question for him. Since I heard his thing, I saw his 8-hour live, okay. And I'm. Judge Pearly thing is just a sidebar. So, go ahead.
Yeah.
Can I just say something?
Yeah.
Like, people say black people should get things that the government should be already providing as forms of reparations. Like, y'all do know when y'all make that argument, when y'all say what we should be getting, these are things we should already have. You know what I'm saying? Like, we should already have the right to vote. That shouldn't be a reparation.
We do have the right to vote, though. They keep trying to take it away.
But that's what you say. I'm just using your words, sir. And matter of fact, if you read in the news from Republicans in a couple of years, we might not have the right to vote because they're trying to take that right of vote because they try to take the right of vote. And that's why I said we should have an irrevocable thing.
Hold
on. You said a lot of things. You know what I'm saying? And I just want to try to hear at least on a couple of them. You know what I'm saying? Because I find them to be disturbing. You know what I'm saying?
I understand. Look,
I'm sorry.
No, it's fine. I understand. Like I've done a few videos about reparations. I personally am in agreement with that. But I think if you're talking about I think what he would be alluding to is more full reparations, which isn't just a check. It's different programs. It's different people.
Yes.
So, and I think that's a valid discussion. That's not today's discussion, so I don't want to get too off kilter there.
But I just want to say that everybody else has received cash and nobody had a problem. I believe the slave owners that owned us at one point received cash. They didn't receive any other benefit besides cash. But now when we're talking about giving cash to black folks, oh man, you don't know what to do with your money.
I didn't say that. Shay, let me land my plane here. See, one of the things I have problems with is that we just real quick. I'm not against reparations, and neither is that brother. But the fact is, if the reparations don't work the way one person wants, then the other person is somehow bad. That's one of our issues. We like this. If I don't get reparations exactly the way I want it, then you're an asshole because you want it this way. We're in agreement. We're in agreement about reparations. I just think they should have a different form.
Sir, do you believe in equality?
So
I believe in the equality. Let me just real quick. I believe in that we should all have the right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I don't agree in equality of outcomes.
Okay, but I just want to say I do believe in equality, and if everybody else, including the slave masters, got cash, I think black people should get cash. Period. All right.
Okay. With that said, guys, this has been great.
I'm sorry. That's it.
Yeah, I want to keep this on topic. I can take a few more calls directed at Mr. Obsidian regarding the Black Manosphere Alliance with Just Pearly things, their allies in general, and anything else that was alluded to in this particular topic this topic.
So I'm going to keep on topic because I'm going to say I back Obsidian and I back just going to tell you plain blankly I back Just Pearly thing. Just Pearly thing for me is not racist. I've been to a white school. I've been to and that was a boarding school, and I've been to also a white college. So anyone who's jumping up at Pearly things and saying, "Oh, she's racist," you need to really experience a real racist white woman. Then you'll understand. Her production team are all black. She doesn't need to do that. She doesn't need to do her production team.
She's a capitalist.
Huh? No. If her production team wasn't black, she might even get further.
What white people can she get to do it for those crumbs?
Who told you that? Who told you that she's paying them the crumbs? She's not paying them crumbs.
One of her partners.
No.
He said they're getting pittance.
No. What are you listening? Are you talking about the content creators, or are you talking about her production team?
One of her partners, who she works with. She mentioned that.
Yeah, Sarah Garvey.
All right then. So
they're getting pittance.
Okay, hang a minute.
She said it herself. I've seen the video where she said it herself when around the time when she said that they work better. They work harder than Americans. She said she can, for the price she's paying extra, she can save.
Let me tell you something.
Hire a couple of more workers.
Immigrants are often more, and it's the same in the UK. Because I'm calling from the UK. Immigrants work harder than people who are born in the UK, all races, and I'm guessing what Just Pearly thing is saying the same thing in America. That's not a surprise. You're gonna find the same thing in Australia.
So okay, so so let's to keep things on topic. What's up going on, security boss? I will certainly drop it for you. Would love to see you call in. I have a few minutes for a couple of more calls.
Yeah.
On topic related to the Black Manosphere Alliance with Just Pearly things and things related to that. Do you guys have any questions specific for Mr. Obsidian? He's been sitting quietly for some time.
Yeah, I do. So Obsidian, I think it would be a great idea if the Black Manosphere replaces the pro-black. I don't space because especially when it comes to in regard to black men, because the pro-black space is for me, I think, mostly useless. It's victimhood.
That wasn't a question.
I think they'll do a pretty good job taking themselves out. They have a penchant for doing that to themselves, kind of blowing their own feet off. So I don't worry about that.
Okay, so moving on. I think I got everyone. What's going on, SB? I got you, and then I think Jason C. We have you. Any questions, comments related to Mr. Obsidian or things that he had mentioned earlier in the interview?
Yes.
I'll drop down. Great show.
Okay, thank you so much.
Obsidian said that how can you give information where she said where her show is referencing African Americans or something like that. He said earlier when you guys were having the interview.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I used to watch her videos, okay? So I know I'm not just some guy reacting. And all the topics they use is relating to African American situation, relationship issues, right? And also buzzwords that they use like Tyrones and Pookies and Ray Rays. They don't use these terms in England. Mr. Obsidian, I'm waiting for you.
They don't use Pookie and Ray Ray in England. Okay.
The slang.
Pookie and Ray Ray, they don't use in England. I don't know. I'm not in England, so I don't know what slang they use. You can ask the brother right here from England. He's in the UK. Arsenal.
Hang a minute. Let me answer your question, Matt Kevin. I can answer that. Yeah, we call them freeloaders.
Okay.
Yeah. So we might not call them. So for men who are bums, like your PlayStation, Xbox guys, your drug dealers and scammers. Yeah, we call them.
Good thing. All right. So, okay, since you guys call them freeloaders over there, right? And this is and that is an England show catering to England audience with English guests. Then why not use the word freeloaders? And that's since that's the term you guys use. Why use African American lingo if you're not catering to African American audience?
Valid question.
Obsidian.
I would answer that.
I don't know.
No. Wait for Obsidian.
I don't
Obsidian, please answer.
I don't know. I don't run the show over there. You asking the wrong person.
This guy's Oh my God.
I don't run the show.
You said, can we provide information? I'm providing this information right now where it's relating to African American topics. You got your tongue right now.
So the argument is because the argument is because she used the term Pookie and Ray Ray. That means she's really talking about Black American folk.
No, that's not. Not okay. He knows what I'm talking. That's why he's quiet.
I'm responding to you.
Let me answer for him. I can tell you this. King Richard.
No,
King Richard lived in England and he's lived in America, so he knows the term. He knows the terms Pookie and Ray Ray because he's used it on his show in England when describing.
Okay, watch this though. But watch this. I respect what you said, right? Because remember, I watched her shows. I'm not just somebody who's just popping in, right? So you're right. Okay, King Richard's lived in England. Okay, can I finish, please? King Richard's lived in.
Let him finish, and then we'll move on to the next.
King Richard's lived in England, lived in America, so he know what that is, right? But he's in England, catering to an English audience with English guests, and he's speaking in an English dialect. Why use African American slang?
You asking me?
Yeah, he's asking you.
Oh, okay. I don't know. I mean, you have to ask her. I don't know. I mean, I think you're trying to. I think you're trying to make the case. I think you're trying to make the case that because this slang is used on a show that's taped and
one of many
Black British people, that is really a dig at Black American people. I think that's what you're trying to get at.
One of many things that are used as a dig of African Americans. One of many. The word Tyrones. They don't use Tyrones.
Okay.
That's what I mean. I could go on and on, but I mean that's for another.
So let's pursue that. You don't think that Pearly should be making money off of these things. You don't think she should be doing.
See, now you're trying to take this to a different topic. You asked for information about what the topic that Pearls is having. How is it related to African American issues and topics and all this and that? I'm providing information. Don't change it.
Well, Mackenzie, with all due respect, I would like to hear from USB.
Go ahead.
Hello, everyone. Can y'all hear me okay?
Hey, yes. How's it going?
Hey, going okay. So listen, I don't have anything for Obsidian. I'm just kind of tuning in, listening a little bit. I'm in the car. I'm in a different place, so forgive me. I just wanted to add a little something to this because I can definitely tell that our Black men are angry. They're angry at Black women, and now they're angry at this white woman, and they're still not getting any resolve to what they want. I guess that's what I'm hearing. But I got to tell you all, this big word that we always talk about is accountability. I'm a Black woman. I've been married for 28 years, and I probably don't have I bet this right here panel now, I probably got such a small amount of you that follow me and really listen to how to bring the nuclear family back together, or even hear me talk about how I advocate for men and how I advocate for women, how I'm making women wives. You don't even want to hear it, but you would follow Pearly. She has 1 million subscribers, and I'm not even blaming Pearly for any part of it because y'all partaked in it and you enjoyed it. But the one question I have to ask of you all is, what was your expectation? She was a white woman. She can only live that white experience. Mm-hmm. I mean, for her to say a foul word, how surprised were you? I mean, that's what she lived. And for her to be in company with a person that is a known racist, are y'all serious? Probably all her other half of life that you don't know nothing about may be just like that. So my point I'm trying to make is, I'm being called mammy by my own people that I fight for all the time, nearly almost 3 times a week for what I do for our people. So what I'm asking y'all to do now is just take accountability for that. And what Pearly do, I'm not going to let her, take away from what I want to do every day and what the Black Manosphere is supposed to be about. We need to get back to the business of it. Okay, we fouled. We went the wrong direction. Okay, we're not going to do it again. Consider it a learning lesson. Take accountability for it, and let's just move on. But we continuously giving her this. She's winning. She's winning. Not that I don't want her to win, but if you're saying you made a foul, don't live in it. Don't live in it. And my stance on it is I had no expectations for Miss Pearly. That's my stance. Yeah. I knew who she's a white woman, and I knew that the things she knows and the things she's telling you all, I've lived them. And if that's really what you want, then you would follow people that live it. If not, then what is your expectation?
Yo, I think most black men are not only mad at Pearly.
Your
They're
question,
more
brother,
one at a time. One at a time, please. Let's let Game Changer.
Yeah, I know. I was about to respond. Thank you.
Yeah, you can respond, and then I want to make sure I acknowledge some of these super chats because I did see some, I think, questions come through. So you can go, Game Changer.
Okay, thank you. So your statement, your question, and everything else that you said in the paragraph that you spoke really assumes that the people that you're talking to, us, the people here on the panel, actually listened to or supported Pearly things prior to this event or even after. And I could say for myself, I haven't. I mean, I do know that this is an opportunity because she has 1 million subscribers, which means that, you know, the Black Manosphere must be involved and you should take accountability for something a different million people did, you know, but that's simply not the case. It is alarming, your desire to hold them accountable. And that's because we live in a culture that Black women have created to make a man feel guilty for any interactions with non-Black women. However, you know, if a Black woman was to do a Black man dirty, just ignore that. You know, this goes
no. I'm not only calling. I'm not only holding. Let me say this though. I don't want to miss it. Let me say this. I don't want to miss it. I'm not only holding men accountable. I'm holding the women accountable too that actually call me mammy. Anybody that is African American that wants to be derogatory to another African American, I'm all of them. Whoever in their mind wakes up one morning, just because I don't think the way that you do, you get to call me a name. I'm holding you accountable too. It's not just for the men. I advocate for men. So it's whomever decided to say this is better than what's over here. I'm just saying, just account for your decision. It's okay. We all make mistakes. That's being accountable. And just say, look, I'm gonna do something different the next time. So it's just not, it's not just a man. Because I don't fight with men. I'm telling you all, it's good. It's okay. You made a mistake. You're looking for somebody that understands you. That's what you're looking for. The Black woman doesn't. So you said, well, maybe this white woman can. I agree. I get it. But she fouled you. It's not what you think.
Yeah. Again, the men that you're talking to, right quick, Arsenal, I got it. Right quick. I got it. The men that you're referring to did not look for that particular comfort from Pearl. We simply didn't. You know, okay. I know that you want to hold people who called you names accountable, you know, but this is not the proper I gotcha. You know, it's like, oh, you called me mammy, but Pearl, these are two things that are almost completely unrelated. You know, perhaps later.
You made it. You're making it much smaller. You're making it much smaller than it is. My point I'm trying to say.
You said this is about the women. No,
I didn't. Never called you that.
No, I'm giving you.
Called you mummies.
I'm giving you an example.
Personal, please.
I'm giving you an example of what people do in the Black community. People in the Black community often call people names, say derogatory things against our own people that are doing the work, trying to put it together, trying to advocate for men, trying to love on women, trying to be better people. We often call each other names. I'm just saying that for that particular race right there, leave it right there. Okay, so there are some that feel like they failed us. I no longer want to deal with these type of women, whatever the situation is. So it may not be you, Game Changer. I have no idea how the young lady made it to 1 million. I'm not even really interested in that. That's the point I'm trying to make. For me, this is me speaking. This is because right now, from what I'm hearing or what I've seen all over YouTube for the last 10 days or so, I see this young lady plastered all over. She's making money off of us, and I don't know who us is. She's making money off of us. She's doing this. She's doing this. She's doing this. She's doing all that. And we're still talking about it today. All I'm saying is, if you don't believe in it, that's okay. If you made a mistake in judgment, that's okay too. Let's just say stop it now and proceed on with the work of getting to the business of becoming better people. That's my only point. I don't know who invested in it.
I understand. I think SB, basically you're saying it's like, look, I've alluded to this in previous videos and posts where it's like, okay, a white woman did something that white people do. Duh. Like let's focus on what's the most important. Building families, building businesses, building industries, culture, like focus on that. And I think that's what I hear security about. I think that's what I hear you saying. Like, let's not let what a person does deter us from what our ultimate bigger goal. I think that's, correct me if I'm wrong, SB, but I think that's what you're alluding to. And then I want to make sure I give Jason C a chance to talk, because I know he's been patiently waiting.
Chaz, you're exactly right. You're exactly right. And if no one here is invested in it, then I don't even know what, Chaz, you're having the conversation. But if nobody here is invested, then I'm not talking to anyone here. So yeah, misdirected. I'm misdirected if that's the case.
Okay. All right. Okay. So real quick, I do want to read some of these super chats, and then I'll move on real quick. Since I've only heard of her, I could never follow or listen to a 25-year-old white girl about Black relationships. Also, the King Richie's asked Fuentes for no, not to my understanding, he didn't. That didn't happen. My understanding. Shout out to you, Eric. Sorry with the 5. Thank you so much. I think it's with the 2. Shay, leave Black women alone. Black men don't want to lead. You know, I always find it so interesting how people come into my channel and then say, leave me alone. You're welcome to listen. If you don't want to listen, you can go. I'm not holding you hostage. With, I think it's Hakumin. I probably butchered that. I'm sorry if I did. She's speaking facts. Exactly my thoughts. Thank you for the 5. 9.99. It says link's not working for me. Oh, all I want to know, do you, Obsidian, believe that any part of slavery was embellished? Yes or no? That's for you, Mr. Obsidian.
I have no idea. I haven't studied the matter that much in depth, so I don't know.
But you have a lot to say when it comes to saving Pearl, though.
That's because I reviewed like 3 hours worth of footage.
But you can't review any footage to fraud.
Okay, so on to the next question, or super chat. It says, because a lot of Black folk don't know what to do, look at our current investments. Now give all those badly educated people money. Dave called us out. We're talking about Dave Chappelle. Thank you again for the 5. I appreciate the generous support. You've sent through multiple super chats. Mac with the 5. It says, Jews make money and get their reparations and hold everyone accountable for anything said against them. Again, thank you for the support. It says, number 16 with the 5, is debating old man is pointless. He changes his talking points and stances at a drop of a cane. Just display his lies and flip-flops and keeps it moving.
Wanted to know where I flip-flop on regarding Pearl. What was the flip-flop?
But we'll see. We'll see if he wants to answer in the comments. A different shade of purple, 10 paying tuition. Thank you so much. Okay, so Jason C, I know you've been patiently waiting. If you wanted to ask the old man anything, feel free to do so.
Yeah, I think like a lot of us having the wrong conversation surrounding this entire issue, right? I mean, this whole, I guess, framework, right, of what happened with Pearly and all this other thing. I mean, everything online is just grifting, right? It's just saying stuff to make money, regardless of who it affects or who it damages or who it causes. Everything. It's like everything is clout, right? Whatever clout you can generate from whatever topics or anything. And I think we need to stop expecting anybody whose revenue is driven by just saying stuff online to be intellectually consistent, because they're not paid to be that way, right? It's like it's an online platform where if I say certain types of things to a certain audience, they will continue to pay me as long as I keep repeating those things. And we see that with a bunch of different types of channels. You know what I'm saying? So I think the issue comes in for us when we start looking at these types of things. We need to ask ourselves, what kind of power can we put together as Black men to prevent this type of thing from happening in the future? Because if we don't have the power to affect these things, then all we're doing is complaining about it, and then it goes nowhere. So the fact that whatever her name is can come into the space and amass 1 million views when you have guys that have been putting in work in more effective ways, I think, right? Whether that's grassroots, whether that's just speaking to Black men's issues as a Black man, not necessarily anti-Black woman, but just, pro-Black man, or even just pro-Black family, anything along those lines. And they're still stuck at 1,000 subscribers, 2,000, 3,000 or 4,000. We need to get in as Black men. We need to get into the mindset of thinking not just, okay, are we just going to complain away our problems, or are we going to do something to change it? So what she said absolutely was foul. I mean, there's just no way around it. But the simple fact of the matter is, as Black men, we don't have the power to change it. So all we're going to do is complain. We don't even have the power to correct someone like Obsidian if we disagree with them, right? I mean, we bring up other communities and what they would have done or what they would do. But the simple fact of the matter is, if you know, whoever was a part of any other group and they stepped out of line, they have ways of correcting that. They have ways and powers and structural elements in there to lock that person out, to silence them and make sure they never speak again, or in a way where they would have to pay homage or apologize so they can get the opportunity to speak again. And as Black men, I think that this has taught us one particular thing, is that we understand where power lies and where power rests. And if we want to make sure it doesn't happen again, or we want to take control of those things, we have to have the power, i.e. money and industry and everything else in place, so that if anybody comes into any space that we occupy and they want to have words, or they want to be, or they want to make money using our likeness and what we have to offer them, we control the reins of power in that regard. I mean, that's pretty much all I have to say. I think that's a lesson for us all as Black men, right? And I just want to say one more thing. The whole anti-reparations deal and people using like conservative, I think there's a lot of like people speaking in certain elements, but there's no consistency in that. Like people will say, "Oh, I'm conservative," but they'll just say all the wildest things they want without being consistent on it. If you speak to a lot of conservatives, they are actually pro-reparations, because in terms of reparations, they understand that it's not just giving Black people money, it's a framework surrounding correcting something so that Black people can be more financially able to compete in the system that we have. So being conservative isn't just anti-Black, oh, Black folks shouldn't get nothing, just pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Conservative is just holding on to conserve certain values that make America what it is. And that's all I got. But I'm just saying, there's a grift. All this stuff is just grifting. It's all just saying stuff online so that people can try to make money off of things they say. That's all it is. So you can't expect anybody that does this type of work to stay consistent, because when money is tied to it, people will sing the tune to whoever's paying it. And whoever is paying Pearly's platform are people who want to hear the message that she puts forward. She's not going to lose any subscribers. She's not going to lose any money. And then as things move on, she'll probably shift gears, move into another arena, and then make money there. And then we'll still be here complaining about it. So, I mean, you know, we should, like, I think SB, I think she said, like, nothing will change.
She's going to make money. Yeah. That's for sure. Well, thank you for weighing in. Now, I think I have a Legend Thief before and DJ. Now, do any of you guys have actual questions for Obsidian? Because I know we've had people come on and give their perspective, which is great. But does anyone specifically have questions for Obsidian Legend?
I do, but he won't answer.
Yes, I have a question.
That's the problem.
One quick question, Obsidian. Do you think we should dissolve the Black identity since we're not really a monolith, and that way it kind of solve this Manosphere problem and Passport Bro and any other issue?
No, I don't.
Why is that?
Why is that?
Yes. Why not just dissolve the Black identity that was given to us?
Well, I don't think the Black identity was given to us. I think we gave it to ourselves during the Black Power era, Black is Beautiful movement, and so on and so forth. And I don't think that that's at the heart of the problem at present regarding the whole pro-Black thing and the Black Manosphere. Really, what's going on there is akin to, if I can use another American historical analogy, it's akin to the Cold War. It's akin to the United States led West against the Soviet Union and their allies. Yeah. And
can I ask you a question, Obsidian?
I was trying to finish. I think it's a battle of ideas and outlooks. The pro-Black male outlook is vastly different from the Black Manospherian male outlook in the main, in broad strokes. And I think that this is going to be duked out, and it's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, My thing I want to ask you, Obsidian, is do you think, because for me, all races have been enslaved. Do you think that we as Black people should just accept all races have been enslaved, including us, and we should just move on?
I do think that because it is a historical fact that slavery has been around longer than people even knew how to read and write. And of course, American slavery is unique in several respects. But the slavery enterprise, I'm not proud to say as a human being, is very much part of the human condition, and only recently in human history has been largely stamped out.
But you know, if that question with that, okay, and then Legend Thief, I'll let you go, because I know earlier on, Mr. Obsidian, we were talking about reparations and Black belt specific reparations that would impact Black American men. That's related to the Black belt political agenda that is adjacent with the Black Manosphere, put together by men from the Black Manosphere and Dr. T.S. Johnson. You said you were in agreement with that earlier. So are you now saying that you don't think that the reparations that's called for in point number 13 is needed or warranted based upon the question Arsenal just asked?
Good question. I have an interesting fascination with the reparations debate because I think the debate itself raises a whole lot of interesting questions. Like, for example, what would be the basis upon which reparations would be doled out? What would be would it just be in the form of a check? Would it take other forms? And if so, if they would take the form of various services, what would make that different from the trillions of dollars already spent on various efforts to, level the playing field for Black folks? Would it mollify Black folks if reparations came down the pike today or tomorrow? Would Black folks essentially stop complaining about race? Is Black dignity and freedom and recompense something that's for sale? And if so, once the sale has been done and the ink is dried on the contract and the checks are signed, that's pretty much it. I mean, white folks can officially wash their hands of the whole thing, and that's that. And are Black folks good with that? So to me, the question itself is interesting because it raises so many other interesting questions.
Yeah. Can I ask him a second question on that? How are we going to get reparations when we were involved in our own slavery? Which is another question, because here's the thing. If you try to get the reparations from them, they're gonna, at the time, slavery was legal and lawful. And like I just said, slavery, we took part in our own slavery, unlike most people who were enslaved.
So that's a great question. So I'm going to answer that real quick, and then I'm going to move on to Legend 354. So regarding slavery, so I'll hear that a lot about, Africans were involved in the own slave trade. There's always been collaborators in war. Always. This is not just in, transatlantic slave trade. There are collaborators in other. So that just because they're collaborators does not mean that was an overwhelming majority. That slavery was a European enterprise. And it was a very of the trade. Let me finish real quick. Just because I want to answer the question. I don't want to go back and forth. So it was something obviously that was the European enterprise. There were, yes, African collaborators in it, but it was a very small percentage. The overwhelming majority of African countries, they waged war against that. And like I said, we don't ask these questions when it comes to like the Holocaust, for example, or other atrocities that have happened to nations where there were all collaborators. But that doesn't overlook the fact that there is those things were atrocious. They were horrible. So I'm saying that point can be applied to other areas, to other communities that have had atrocities, but we don't use it as a way to invalidate it. So I think that's something to keep in context. And then, like I said, it was a European enterprise primarily. So I did want to acknowledge that because that's something that I think is used, and it's like, hey, an incredibly small percentage, not to mention African country waged war against it by and large, which is why we are free today. It was a I don't want to go down that rabbit hole. I break this down in some of my videos where I really talk deeply about reparations and some of those different arguments about Black people owning slaves and Africa was collaborated too, yada, yada. So that kind of speaks to it. because I do think that's another question, but I wanted to make that point. Then I'm sorry, a legend 354. I know
Yes.
you've
Okay, thank you.
been.
Thank you for having me on this platform. My question for Obsidian is, do you consider yourself to be FBA or a foundational Black American?
As best I understand it, yes.
So your lineage is based in America. Your parents were all born here, and like your great grandparents were born here, and etc.
Yes.
Okay, so and you still believe that Black people in America should not get cash payments like the Native Americans do and other people that have been victimized in slavery?
No, I never taken that that position. I've always, I like I said, I'm kind of like on the fence one way or the other. I just like the debate. I think there's a very interesting debate going on. I will say this though, if indeed cut the check ever happens, I do know what I'm going to do with my money. I am going to invest it in a franchise of Scripper bars, and I'm going to have some other investments as well. And I can see it right now in my head what I'm going to call it: Obsidian's House of Hoes and Scripper Emporium. Yes.
Okay. So and for me, also with just Pearly, I want to ask you. I'm not too familiar with this whole thing that's going on, but I will say that how she became queen of the Manosphere or whatever is beyond my comprehension. A white woman became queen, but I don't think it's just a Black Manosphere thing. I think it's like she took over all of it. And I think that is very unfortunate that she has a platform to where more Black people are able to communicate with each other than other platforms. That's why I do like this platform that I'm talking on, and shout out to your channel that we actually give space for Black men to actually communicate with one another, because there's not enough Black men and women talking. There's a lot of, pro-Black women that, how do I say this, that have the channel and the influence, but they're not sitting down with any of our YouTubers and actually talking with us.
I'd like to,
Okay.
if I can.
I'm sorry. Who was that? Game Changer?
Yeah.
Okay, and then after and then DJ, you can go because I know DJ's been waiting. But yeah, you can go.
Okay.
Feel free to.
Okay, so I like to say that that's a very interesting thing that Real Second Exodus brought up earlier, because essentially, if I understand them properly, and correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying that if the purpose of the Black Manosphere is to have a Manosphere for whatever reason that's separate from the white one, if it's now going to reattach itself to whiteness and people who have white Manosphere points of views, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, then what was the purpose of separating to begin with? Am I correct?
Exactly. Perfect.
Okay, so I would argue that I think that the original reason was financial. I think that the founders of the Black Manosphere found it in their best interest to separate from the white Manosphere where there's more competition and have an audience that's racially loyal to it without necessarily being racially loyal to that audience. To answer your question.
Yes, thank you. Because I'm seeing the situation that I'm seeing is with the Manospheres that there are some people who are more loyal to pro-Black movements, whereas some people do not want to see race in it at all. They just want traditional women, and then there's some people who do hate the idea of being associated with Black people. So I'm just trying to understand why we. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt, but to help you with that understanding, basically what happened is we're the Black Manosphere when it's financially advantageous to the founders, and we are the Manosphere when it is financially advantageous to the founders. Now, do you understand?
Yes, because and I just want to get your stance on this. When Kevin Samuels, I believe he was the face of it eventually, right? It started off with Tommy Sotomayor and others, and then Kevin Samuels took it to another level.
Well, it started with King Flex, Tariq Nasheed, but go ahead.
Okay, thank you for that context. I was just curious. It seemed like it started, because white men also had their thing going on. It was called MGTOW or Red Pill or Incel. I'm not sure. I could be getting it wrong. But I think black men had a whole set of baggage that comes along with our version of dealing with feminism and traditional values and things like that. And so there was a lot of other issues that were going unaddressed. And I think Kevin Samuels was trying to talk to us on a public platform, which allowed other people to be entertained and enter into the conversation space. Mm-hmm. And so that allowed someone like Just Pearl, who is outside of the community, what we call a community, and to enter in and kind of insert herself without any resistance for once, because there's a lot of us that don't want to focus on race, but there's some of us that do focus on race.
Let me ask you a question. Number one, I think the rendition or the take of the origins of the Black Manosphere, like I said, a lot of you guys have some seriously fertile imaginations. You missed your calling. You should have been like fiction writers or something. But in any event, I can speak for myself. I didn't start the Black Manosphere with a financial motive in mind, although I certainly aren't going to complain about it. And I started it for different reasons. But the going to your point, real second after this. Let me ask you a question. Why do you think black women
wait, you didn't start
let me ask you a question. Why do you think black women didn't do what Pearl did? Why do you think that is?
No, I see Ches doing what Pearl is doing, and I see many others.
She's not doing what Pearl's doing.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ches, did I get that wrong? Are you not doing what Pearl is doing?
Sade is not doing what Pearl's doing. No.
She was on mute. I can't hear.
You're muted.
I mentioned this earlier. The focus of today's conversation is not who's doing what, who's doing more of what. Because as far as I see it, I think each person has the right to use their platform however they want to do it. And like I said, I mentioned all the Black women content creators who I respect dearly. I don't look at it at that. So this isn't about, well, how many videos is Shay uploading? How much money has she invested or not invested versus Pearly? To me, we're not really in the same space.
I agree.
The focus today was, what is the Black Manosphere position regarding JPT and their allies, and why? That is the focus of today. So like I said, you guys are can go compare and contrast all you want separately on your own channels if you feel inclined to do so, but let's try to stay on topic.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch your pockets. But what I will do is respond to Real. Real, you have to be weary of somebody who's quoted in the beginning as saying, "I plan to make a mint off of Black female fuckery," and then later say, "I didn't start it for the money." Be very weary of such characters.
Well, I mean, you can ask me, and I can tell you the reason why I started the Black Manosphere.
You did not start the Black.
I can answer. I can answer the question. I can answer the question.
You didn't start the Black Manosphere.
I can answer the question. I can answer the question. The reason why I took a part in starting what became known as the Black Manosphere was to start a real conversation.
Bro, tell the truth. You did not start it. I only heard of you because of her.
May I finish? May I finish?
Don't lie.
May I finish?
Let's let him finish, and then you.
And I would like to answer the question. So
Obsidian was one of the originals of the Black Manosphere.
The reason why
start the Black Manosphere.
The reason why I started was because I wanted to have a real conversation between Black men and Black women, and I find it interesting. I don't make any apology about the fact that I plan to make a lot of money off of Black female fuckery. Nobody has a problem with it, with Oprah doing it. And I find it interesting that some of the most ardent critics of Black women, ardent critics, stomp down critics of Black women, now all of a sudden want to play, like they racially loyal now. The same Black men who have no qualms about going to a foreign land and trading appliances for feminine company, now all of a sudden want to, be, race soldiers? Really?
Yeah. I'll tell you why. Let me tell you, you said something earlier, right? Okay. Now, all right, we killing each other, right? White cops killing Black men, right? Now, if a Russian, our enemy, comes over here and start killing Black men, you think all these white cops and all these racist people are just gonna allow it?
You got to get rid of this Mama Black syndrome. This is the problem that you have.
Okay, here we go.
So I don't know. Was that a question direct? I'm trying to figure out where it landed. Are you directing a question towards Mr. Obsidian?
Yes, I am, because he mentioned something earlier about how the girls that was saying abort black babies and this and that. Basically it's Fox News talking points, like when you know how when a black guy gets shot by a white cop, they say, well, you guys are killing each other, so why is it a problem when a white cop kills you?
Okay.
You know? I've actually written about black men being shot in the back by white police officers. So I've actually written about it. But in any event, go. Please tell me more about what I do and how I think. Please tell me all about it.
Yes, so I'm mentioning that because you mentioned earlier about how some of the women in the space was talking about aborting black babies, and so
you think that's okay?
I don't think that's okay. Okay, let me finish though.
So why don't you have all the fire in the belt for that?
Let me finish before you will get your answer if I finish. Okay.
Okay, go ahead, please. Take your time.
Yeah, you're right. All right. So just like I said earlier, you got innocent, whether they're innocent or not, or guilty or not, black guy getting shot by a racist white cop, whatever, right? Mm-hmm. You know, and everybody's in an uproar. Yes, we're killing each other. Americans are killing each other. We're black and white. But if a Russian comes here and do it, you know, and just come and shoot us, right? Mm-hmm. And then should the United Nations or International Criminal Court says, you know what, it's not that bad because you Americans kill each other all the time. Why are you mad when a Russian comes here and kill you? Mm-hmm.
Can I say something?
No, I'm still waiting for him to answer my question. Why none of the uproar for black women here in the United States on social media platforms calling for the deletion, abortion, and genocide of black male babies? Why no hue and cry about that?
Well, yeah, I know.
I'm asking Mackenzie.
Okay, let me answer you. In-house stuff. Me and my brothers and sisters, we could fight and bicker. We could take up in-house stuff.
But I'm not seeing you fighting and bickering out on these internet streets. I only see you here talking about Pearl.
Can I finish? You asked me a question about the aborted black babies, whatever, right? You know,
whatever. Notice whatever. Go ahead.
Oh my God.
Yes, whatever.
Let him finish, and then I'll interject, and then I'll let DJ interject, because I know this. We keep on going back to this point. I feel like some of these things are becoming circular. So, you go.
All right. So so like in-house stuff. Yeah, we are pissed off, and that's wrong that she said this and that, But at the end of the day, outside forces, we have to attack suspected or enemies or would-be enemies. We have to, go at them first, and then we can always revert back to solving in-house issues as well. Like one of the callers said earlier, there was a lot of people that was outraged about that stuff. You didn't say a damn thing, Obsidian.
I didn't say a damn thing about what?
Oh my! You're not even listening. You're like Pearl. You just.
I didn't say no. Just tell me what I didn't say a damn thing
about. And let us
straight answer. What did I didn't say a thing about?
I'm not
tell me more about what I don't talk about.
I mean, come on. We have limited time. I'm not even.
Yeah, I agree. So get right to it. What have I not talked about? Tell me about what I have not talked about in 8 years on the air. 12, better part of 15 years writing for every Manosphere magazine, website, organ that there is. 2 books. Please tell me what I haven't addressed now.
Okay, look, I've never heard of you. The only reason I've heard of you is because of Pearl, okay?
Oh my goodness.
How come you're running away from Jason Black?
You're here because
how come you're running away from Jason Black?
Because of that white.
Stop running away from Jason Black.
That's why you're here. And all of a sudden you're Mr. Pro-Black. You're so black. You are so incredibly blackety black, but you.
Okay, sorry. Okay, guys, we have to. We have to reel things back when we start talking over each other. Jason Black, I don't think is the topic of today's conversation. Again, that perhaps will be another live. Wanted to try to keep this connected to the Black Manosphere and what has been going on. Again, real quickly to the point that you had mentioned earlier, Obsidian, I know you've brought this up multiple times, which I agree, right, about the outcry or perhaps the lack thereof regarding Cynthia G. I know I've certainly said things in the different Black female content creators that I support have said things. I think too, to be fair, also to consider is the fact that, you know, Just Pearly Things has over 1 million followers, is international, whereas Cynthia G also has 100 or so. She's really on the same level. And so that's not to minimize what she said. What she said was horrible, but I think it's also safe to assume that she's not nearly as possible or not nearly as popular as Just Pearly Things. And perhaps that is why you haven't seen the same level of, you just didn't see the same level of exposure, because she just doesn't have as much exposure, whereas Just Pearly Things does. So that could also be something to take into consideration. DJ, I want you to weigh in. I know you've been patiently waiting.
Thank you, Shaz. I appreciate
it. Sure.
Yeah, thank you. I just wanted to say that to start off, I got a couple of things I want to say. First of all, I think I wouldn't say it's irrelevant, but I would say that it really doesn't matter to me who I'm dating or who I'm seeing. I don't care if it was a white girl, even though I don't date white girls. But even if she was to say something about a Black chick or address a Black issue, I would probably tell her that wasn't her place. So, and with these other issues, with with these other content creators, the Black women, talking about aborting Black babies, that is an issue, and I took issue with that as well. But I also take issue with Just Pearly Things. So one thing doesn't cancel out the other. And I had a question for Obsidian.
Okay.
So you said that it was a mistake that Just Pearly Things made, right?
I said it was stupid.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't a mistake.
I said it was stupid. I said what she did.
No.
It wasn't a mistake. It was just stupid. You see?
No, you actually did say it was a mistake earlier.
No, I said it was stupid. Those were the exact words that I used in my interview with her. Those were the exact words I used in my private conversation with her. I said the exact same thing to her that I said in private, that I said in public, and I said it was stupid.
But how old is Just Pearly Things
well,
again?
Well, hold on. It's my turn. I've been waiting patiently.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, let him go.
Now, what I find interesting is that before she said that stupid thing that she said, she actually knew that she was gonna say it, and she actually.
Well, how do you know? How do you know what she was gonna say?
It's on the video, my friend.
Because she said, hold on. Because she said it herself. She reverted back because she was gonna say it, then she stopped herself and said, "Oh, I'm gonna get a lot of pushback for this." So she knew she was gonna get pushback for it before she said it. She knew she was gonna say something stupid before she said it. So she actually apologized or whatever before she even said it, and then she comes back with an apology. That means she don't give a damn in the first place.
Exactly.
Okay, so the way to resolve that is, are you subscribed to Pearl?
No, but guess what though?
Hold on. You asked me a question, dude.
So the matter is resolved. You're not subscribed to her, right?
No, because I'm not thinking about it from a money issue like you. I'm thinking about it from our people issue.
Oh, in other words, you're very emotional.
About it No, it's not. It's not emotional. It's not emotional.
Of course,
it's not emotional. It's not emotional at all.
Of course, it is.
No, it's not. It's just about understanding. It's about understanding. It's about understanding where we are and understanding where everybody's coming from. It's not emotional at all. It ain't either or. It ain't if it's not about money, it's emotional.
Well, if you don't like what she did, the way to resolve that is don't listen to her.
But that would be cool. But we got Supermans like you trying to save her.
I listen to it on your platform.
Don't listen to me.
On other people's platform, and then I see the outcome.
Not to listen.
All of this is social media.
Right, and you don't have.
We're all looking at this stuff.
Black folk get the idea that because it's on social media, I must consume it.
Why are you trying to save her then?
I'm not. I'm telling you what to do. I'm telling you.
Just like he can.
If you don't like it, don't listen.
Okay, so why are you making it your business to go out there?
I'm not.
To go
I'm
every
telling
channel,
you what. I'm telling you exactly what to do.
championing her.
If you don't like it, don't listen.
So why are you trying to save her then?
I'm not trying to save.
Hold on.
I'm trying to save you.
Let me ask you this.
No, you're not trying to save
you.
my friend. You're trying to save your pockets.
That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to save you.
Obsidian, can you acknowledge the fact?
Advice.
Hold on. Can you acknowledge the fact that she knew what she was saying was stupid?
I have no
what
idea,
she said?
man. I'm not a mind reader. I don't know.
You don't have to read it. You looked at the video. You say you looked at it 1,000 times, right? You looked at it a whole bunch of times.
I didn't look at it. I didn't look at it.
Well, not 1,000 times. Come on, let's
8 hours.
Let's not do that. Let's not do that. You looked at it a whole bunch of times, like you said.
I didn't look at it a whole bunch of times. No, I didn't.
You said that you did.
No, I said that I looked at the entire tape.
You said you looked at it multiple times.
No, I said I looked at the entire tape.
Well, if you looked at the entire tape, you should have seen the point. You should have seen when she acknowledged the fact that she was going to say something stupid before she said it.
The interview with Nick Fuentes.
Yeah, the interview with Nick Fuentes.
I did an 8-hour-long live stream on it, brother. 8 hours.
Wow.
I know. That's where I seen it.
Okay.
That's where I seen it.
Okay.
I seen it like you seen it.
Okay.
So you should be able to acknowledge the fact that that wasn't a mistake and that she knew what the hell she was doing before she did it.
Okay.
She
and
said,
if you don't like it, don't watch it.
So okay, so he can.
You still didn't acknowledge it. You didn't acknowledge it, but that's cool.
Well, I think at this point, no, I want to make sure. I know Mac, you did have a question, and then if anybody else has questions for Mr. Obsidian, feel free to weigh it in. I am going to wrap this up, and then over the next couple of minutes because it's getting dinner time over here. So Mac, I think you.
Yeah, he's saying that if you don't like it, you can just stop watching. You can just do this and that. Guess what? Stop. Why are you making it your business to go out there, going to every channel or receiving her and trying to champion? Hey guys, it's not like this. Hey guys, let's rethink this. It's not that bad of a thing. Why are you doing that?
Why am I here tonight?
Look,
well, you're asking why am I here tonight?
I'm talking about for just Pearly things.
Because this is the only place I've been at that I've been asked to. I've never gone outside of my platform. This is the only platform. So far, hang on, let me answer your question. Yeah, let him. This is the only platform. Can I answer your question?
That's not the question.
Hello. This is the only platform that I have been asked to come and speak to the issue of just Pearly things in relation to the Black Manosphere. I was invited as a guest to do so. I am not making a press junket, at least not it's so far. This is the only place I've been so far. I'm not trying to protect Pearl at all. I'm trying to protect all of you. If it's bothering you that bad, don't watch it.
No, so okay.
Let me do this. Let me do this. Matt, please. Let
Game because I know let Game Changer go. He's been silent for a
minute. All right. So my question is to DJ and Mac. Are you going to continue to watch Obsidian?
I never watched them to begin with. I've heard of him through this.
Thank you, DJ.
Early thing.
Thank you, brother. DJ?
I may.
Okay, so chat room, what about you?
I haven't checked out Obsidian before, but I would like to check out his channel and see what he has to say.
Chat room, how about you?
I just seen him. I think I seen him maybe on the Lead Attorney's channel, but I'm not aware of his channel.
I'm asking the chat room. But
you're talking about the chat in the
yeah, I'm talking about not the panel. Your chat room. Okay, so I see I think that really solves the problem as he stated. The solution to the problem is stop listening to niggas like Obsidian. And the chat room agrees. So there we have it.
It's not just stop listening to Obsidian. If you got guys like that, when somebody does something wrong and everybody's trying to hold accountable, but you got these so-called Superman like this jumping in front of everybody trying to save them, that's a big problem.
Well, and maybe this goal, because this is actually something Mr. Obsidian alluded to, correct me if I'm wrong. In the last live, or one of the lives you did recently, which I reviewed, which is why I wanted to bring you on, you alluded to the fact that, good fences make good neighbors, something to that effect. And we've seen, even with this last couple of weeks, we've seen Black men in the Manosphere step away and kind of cut their alliances. And so, you know, one of my purposes of this live was not only was to seek clarity as to why you guys were, you know, allying with JPT, but just trying to understand really overall your perspective, your values, your ethics. And then from there, people get to choose whether or not that is in alignment with them or not. The Black Manosphere, I don't think, ever claimed to speak for all Black men. There have always been Black men out there who were not in agreement with their point of view, and perhaps just clarifies it. I don't, correct me if I'm wrong here. But
no, you're not. Here's the other thing that's really interesting about this, Shay Sade. So there's always been this roiling debate within the Black Manosphere itself, and here I'm going to bring in what's now known as the Passport Bros. Prior to that, SYSBM. There are Black men who always suggested that, with regard to Black women, maybe it's time to head to other shores, metaphorically and otherwise, for mates, and that has set off something of a debate, because there's been, on one side of the debate, there has been whether or not you can actually build a Black community with non-American, and in some cases non-Black, they may be American, but non-Black women. So that's been a big debate. I think that the events of the past few years, and I'm hearkening back to Kevin, that's kind of raised that question in a very serious way. So I think it's kind of interesting that the guys that are within or consider themselves within the Black Manosphere are kind of taking up the mantle in such a, they were such huge critics of Black women, very harsh critics of Black women, but now they seem to be kind of almost jumping out the window with the cape on for them. It's very interesting. Look at what white women can do.
Hold on, let me talk. This ain't the thing about, see, you're putting it against Black women. That's not the issue. Just Pearly things this is the issue in itself. These are two separate things.
You mean the racism?
No, it's not racism. Because let me tell you something.
Well, it's not racism.
Hold on. Let me say one thing. Hold on. Let me say one thing.
I'm just talking about what's
I've been watching. Hold on. Let me tell you. I've been watching Kevin Samuels. Okay. God bless the dead. I've been watching Kevin Samuels ever since 2015. I could almost say that it's probably nobody on this panel or nobody in this chat that has watched Kevin Samuels more than me. I watched damn near every damn show that he had ever since 2015. And let me tell you this. Multiple shows that I've seen, when he's talking, and it's a non-Black person, a non-Black woman, a non-Black person come on that show, and they try to talk about Black women issues, you know what he do? He hang up on them. He hang up on them, and he say, "No, this is in-house."
Right, I agree with that. I agree with you on that.
You know what? And you know what even Pearl said? I heard her say that even when she was paying, he told her that her content is trash. And to me, now this is just me, but that tells me that he was discouraging her from trying to talk. And who said that she was coming at him, saying that she was going to talk about Black issues, have or cater to a Black audience. So he may not even known that when she was consulting with him. But I think he's turned over in his grave right now. I don't think he would be satisfied with a white woman speaking on Black issues.
Well,
that comes from me watching him ever since 2015. Even though I know he's your friend, and you.
She does. Stop lying, Obsidian.
She doesn't speak on Black issues. She speaks on general relationship issues. Like I said at the very beginning,
I'm talking about even the Black issue about. I'm talking about even Black issue about slavery and all of that.
She was talking to a white
defensive of Pearl, though.
She was because I'm trying to defend the truth.
Dude, you're just.
And what I'm defending here is that the Pearl is not against Black women. Pearl is not against Black folk. She was very context dependent. She was talking to a white supremacist. You can disagree with that, fair enough, but then you would also have to disagree with me. You would also have to disagree with Jason Black. You would also have to disagree with Tommy Sotomayor.
Why are you running away from Jason Black?
On and on.
But when you talk to a white
if I remember correctly, she actually said that she does not speak for the Black Manosphere, and that actually came out in Obsidian's interview. I'm not trying to defend her. I'm trying to actually go with what was said. She said it herself.
Obsidian is
Matt, let him finish.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, isn't that what she said, right, Obsidian? She said she's not a fixture in the Black Manosphere.
Not only did she say that, Kevin C., she also, when I asked her straight up, does she see herself as a leader, the woman king, and all the rest of the Black Manosphere? She said unequivocally, unapologetically, categorically across the board, no. She said the men are the leaders. They're the ones who created this thing, and she's falling in line behind them. That's what she said in my interview last week.
So who are the leaders now? You, Anton Daniels?
Well, I mean, you're welcome to step up if you don't like it. They go.
Okay,
so that's what it is, huh? That's what you're trying to make it. You're trying to make yourself seem like the leader of the Black Manosphere, right?
You're welcome to step up and
is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah, I'm telling you, you're welcome to step up and do better.
I'm asking you, is that what you're trying to do?
I'm telling you, you're welcome to step up and do better.
Okay, so real quick, let's let Kevin C interject. Yeah, let's let him interject. I know we've.
Yeah, I'm more inclined to listen. I'm more so as far as Black Manosphere, I'm more inclined to listen to men, Black men, because we understand Black history, culture, issues, and problems, and how it relates to women and what it is we need to be doing or not doing in order to make sure we have good, positive, effective relationships. It would be nice if those Black men are married, or if they're like Obsidian, they've established themselves over a long period of time by writing books, contributing in a lot of ways, and actually doing something to, things like the meetup that he does. Like, actually showing the work that they've done to actually, show themselves as actual fixtures. But that's where you get your credibility. But I'm not going to listen to anybody who's non-Black, because anytime I talk to somebody who's non-Black about Black issues, they seem very uninformed to me. They don't know what it is they're talking about, and they just kind of get lost in the sauce. And as it relates to Pearl, look, the whole thing was, as I saw her coming through, she was an occasional guest, not a fixture. The Manosphere is to help men. Not necessarily women. Women can listen, they can participate as long as they're approved by the men. And but the Manosphere is there to help. The Black Manosphere is there to help men. And and this is where I agree with Obsidian a little bit. And again, I'm not trying to defend Pearl, but when I looked at his broadcast, he was just trying to prove that she wasn't a hardcore, stomped down racist, and she's not. Now, was she wrong in that aspect of the Fuentes interview? Absolutely. If they'd have left race out of it, then that interview probably wouldn't have been that big a deal. And she probably should have edited the thing before she put it out anyway. That's really what I got from it.
On purpose.
And she actually admitted that she was out of her element. She was out of her league.
She purposely did it.
She wasn't really informed on what she was talking about. But where she caught problems was where she, started making racial comments, and she was ha-haing and kikiing and giggling, with Fuentes. That's where she admitted that she made mistakes there and that she was wrong. She actually said all of that.
When did she say I'm sorry?
I'm just telling you what it is she's doing.
Where did she say I'm sorry?
Well, you know what, though? I'm not even looking for an apology, because
not you individually.
Okay, I got you.
She mentioned she was on an apology tour. Where did she say I'm sorry?
Yeah, well, so here's the thing with an apology. First of all, you have to admit that you did something wrong. Then you have to actually be remorseful, and then you have to make repair. If you're not making repair, then apology doesn't mean anything.
Yeah, her repair is striking down Sarah Garvey's channel.
Yeah.
Okay, so look, all of that. I'm just telling you what I saw as to how it relates. And Obsidian was really the only one who went out of his way to do like the long form and break down the interview and all the other stuff and everything else. That's why I paid attention to it. And I listened to like 5 or 6 different people on this, but I'm just telling you what it is I saw and what it is I heard and what she said as she came on as it relates to her specific words. I've been paying attention to this because I've been trying to actually formulate my own opinion. I don't want to listen to anybody else, but I'm just telling you what was said. And Obsidian, you correct me if I'm wrong. Everything that I just said is correct. Yes.
He's not even listening.
Hey, Sade, I have I just want to. I know it's getting real late. I know it's dinner time for you. I can see it on your face. I just want to thank you for having me on your panel. I just want to ask one quick question to Obsidian or to the panel, and then I'm gonna hop off.
Let's direct it to Obsidian. Let's start there.
Okay, Obsidian, if you're still there, my question is because okay, great. My question is when before this thing went off with Just Pearl, I was subscribed to her because I heard a lot of good things about her. I hadn't watched any of her videos, and then I subscribed. Then this took place. I won't say offended, but I didn't want to really hear anything she had to say after that. So I unsubscribed. So are you saying if people are genuinely upset or dissatisfied with her, should they just unsubscribe? And my second question to that is, if she has a lot of subscriptions or a lot of subscribers, does that mean there's something wrong with the black men? And should we not necessarily be angry with them if they want to keep listening to her and supporting her? There shouldn't be anything wrong with that, right?
I think this is a market-based question. I think a lot of black people don't like market-based solutions. We're much more heartfelt and wear our emotions on our sleeve and think that, and we lead with that. But I think this is a market-based problem that calls for a market-based solution. If you do not like what any content creator does, Pearl or anyone else, you do not have to watch them. You do not have to consume their content. And there is nothing wrong with anybody for liking to watch the content that they like to watch. That you may disagree with them, but they have the right to watch it. If you don't like it, don't watch it.
All right, Pearl specifically, bro. Pearl specifically, like Jason Black. You know, you Obsidian. Have you ever heard of Jason Black?
I have.
First, I'm not even gonna ask you why you're running away from him. We could talk about something.
I'm not running away from him. I offered to debate him live on camera. Live on camera. We both show our face live, mano a mano, 2 mics, 1 camera, and we go for it down in Atlanta this coming fall when I'll be down there for the Black Manosphere Conclave. I made that offer publicly just last week.
Do you know the percentage of blacks in America and the percentage of others in America as well? Right?
Yeah, roughly 50%.
And everybody has access to YouTube. Let me finish, right? And there is the alt-right conservative wing political machine behind Just Pearly as well that is working on YouTube to push the algorithm to make her subscriber counts go up, but yet her views are very minuscule. A YouTuber like Sade probably has more views with less subscriber count than Pearl, and you guys don't even see that. You guys like Anton Daniels are pretending to be these gatekeepers of Black Manosphere is playing games here.
Have you ever done any creative writing?
Okay, here we go.
Okay, so
I just want to ask you a question for Shay.
I'm sorry.
Can I ask you a question?
If it's on top, I mean, this is a question and answer primarily for Obsidian. But what you got?
Well, I just want to know for your platform in the future, will you be are you aware of Tariq Nasheed and who he is?
I am.
Okay. Will you be doing like an interview with him in the future or a collaboration because he just opened up a Black museum and he is
anything's possible. Anything's possible.
Okay, that's my only question. All right, and thank you for having me.
Thank you. Yeah, I got to get up out of here. It's really late. And,
I forgot. You're 3 hours ahead.
Yeah.
Well, this has been fun. This has been, I think, an informative conversation. For those of you guys who are here later on, please be sure to go back and catch the replay. I'm going to go and try to add timestamps so you can kind of be directed to the different point of view. I hope you guys walked away having a more clearer understanding as the position of the Black Manosphere specifically. This is what we looked after. Mr. Spinner, do you have any final words you want?
No, I'm very thankful to have spent this evening. It's always a pleasure, and I want to single you out, Shay Sade, for the way that you treated me. It has been singular among many of the ladies in and around the space, and you deserve to be singled out and praised for that. I am not anti-Black woman. I am anti-Black female fuckery. There is a difference, and it's the 21st century. It's a competitive world, and it should not be any different for any of us in the community. We got to compete to Black men and Black women alike. That's what I would say. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you so much. You have a good one.
You too.
All right, guys.
If some of the guys wanted to hang around a little bit, I actually had a couple of questions for Game Changer. It had nothing to do with the topic. So if you got a few minutes, Game Changer, if you don't mind, and the guys that were on the panel that we kind of want to hang around for about 10 minutes, I had some questions.
Not 10 minutes, but I'll answer your question.
Okay, well,
I do need to wrap this up pretty soon. I do got
Thanks for letting me up, Shay. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Okay, I appreciate it. Maybe we can get this in the members only, Kevin, see if you have additional questions or things.
Roger, yeah.
So, all right. Game Changer, I don't know if you have any
No closing thoughts. I'll talk to Kevin C for a bit in the back, and then.
Oh, I see you're saying in the back. Okay, got it. All right. Well, thank you, and DJ, thank you for calling in.
Thank you. Thank you,
All right. All right, guys. Well, this was I think this was really informative. I learned a lot. The whole purpose of this live was to try to seek clarity on the positions of the Black Manosphere regarding their alliance with Just Pearly Things, and just regarding their views on alliances in general. As I stated at the beginning of the live, I'll state again, I was not in agreement with the things that Miss Pearly Things said. While I wouldn't say that she is akin to the, you guys referred to like the cross burning, the cross burning, hooded racist, if you will. I certainly think that the comments said very much had a racist tinge, or at best could be aligned to different ideals that we saw connected with the Daughters of the Confederacy, which we know things like that, Daughters of the Confederacy, Lost Cause, these are all ideals that are based upon racist ideology. So I personally took issue with some of the comments, or I was not in agreement with some of the comments that she made, not only in her interview, but other interviews I saw specifically related to slavery, specifically related to the experience of Black Americans or Black people in general. And I thought it was a bit strange for her to be speaking on some of those issues, not just in that interview, but in other ways. And to me, it just seemed, it did seem very strategic. But even if you want to take the position that she is not, she's just ignorant, granted, even if you want to take that position, I think it's fair to assume that the division that this has caused, or that the amount of infighting this has caused over the last week or so, I certainly think that was strategic. As somebody, me personally, as somebody who actually used to work in corporate and worked with different agencies and people, and people who had departments who were literally dedicated to studying trends and studying audiences and understanding target audiences and understanding their strengths and the weaknesses. If nothing else, this was very much a strategic move, in my opinion, that I think was, meant to boost her. So take it for what you want. I know some of you guys think that she's a covert racist. Some of you guys think that she is ignorant. Some of you guys think it's, like I said, I don't agree with her positions. I do think there's a racist tinge to it for sure. And I also think that it was strategic because, like I said, at the end of the day, Black folks are over here infighting and bickering and dividing, and she's crying all the way to the bank. Take with that what you may. With that said, I respect anybody's decision to whether or not you are pro Pearly or not Pearly. I respect your decision. I don't disrespect you. I will not disrespect her, you, anyone. That's just not I believe in trying to keep a level of basic respect for human beings, period. But I wanted to make it clear I was not in agreement with the things that she said. I think her and I have different, our values are different, and that's okay. But the purpose of this, again, was to seek to understand the positions of the Black Manosphere and why they felt their values were in alignment with the Just Pearly Things regarding this issue and other various issues, especially since she made it clear that she is against reparations and the Black Manosphere advocates for reparations. I wanted to seek some clarity on that, and just in regards to other things as well. So that's what this live was about. If you guys missed it, be sure to go back and catch the replay. The first hour and a half or so, I'm just asking Mr. Obsidian directly some of these questions as it pertains to the Black Manosphere, their point of view, their ideology, their goals, really, their values, and I found it really helpful. So review it, make for it what you may, and like I said, no matter your position is, my goal is to try to respect your position. I do agree that people can agree to disagree, and I think that's, for me, what I'm walking away with, this idea of like, I'm going to agree to disagree with some of you guys on this stuff, but I still respect you because you're a human being and you have the right to your own opinion. And that's something that I value. So anyways, I thank you guys so much for being there. I hope you found this helpful. I do also want to acknowledge some of those who sent over some super chats. Maggie Lamb with the $4.99, it says, Obsidian is letting his bias and his personal relationships or observations of Black women affect his moral position on this topic. Have some integrity. I see her. Owen, Obsidian is part of Pearly Things stable of Black men. He was purchased by Pearl during Black History Month. A man does not need to feed. And so I know you guys are mixed. Some of you guys are Pearly, you're cool with Obsidian, some of you are not. And it was like that even before this whole thing happened, to be quite frank. Obsidian is having so much fun feeding off the emotionalism. Yeah, I think I read that one. Shout out to you, Frederick, with the 3. Shout out to you, Herb Owen, again with the 5. Says Obsidian was turned by Carib. She didn't want him, and that's why he dislikes Black women. I don't think I know who that is. Then I see this one. Obsidian is the female Cynthia G. So obviously someone who's not in favor of Obsidian. I think I read that one. If all I want to do is buy a island in Peru. Okay. Shout out to you. Herb Irwin 10. It says slavery was never legal throughout the world. It was accepted by as an act of war. Chattel slavery was sanctioned by the Pope of Rome, who rationalized Black enslavement as a spiritual divine right. Yeah, that's a whole other, when you talk about slavery, as I mentioned before, what's also not talked about is the illegal slave trade. A whole other conversation. I break this down a little bit in some of my previous videos, but the illegal slave trade is something that is usually not addressed. When we see people say, oh, well, slavery was not bad, or slavery did this or that, or, it wasn't that big of a deal, it was so long ago. No one really wants to talk about the illegal slave trade because that adds a whole other nuance, not only to this the conversation about whether slavery was that bad or not, whether it was legal, but also adds conversation regarding reparations and how you would even go about doing that. So whole nother conversation entirely. Okay, here's another one. It says, leading economist says that O'Leary's way to close the racial wealth gap is reparations. See Dr. William Darty. Thank you with the 5. The sleeping Omex. Let's see, Tom R2. It says, Pearl followers, not all Black, book of Obsidian. Yeah, our followers aren't all Black, for sure. But she definitely does have a strong Black audience, that's for sure. Like I said, she's crying all the way to the bank. Whether or not you agree or disagree with her, at the end of the day, she has people who support her, some people who don't support her. So I'm not here to judge you, whichever stance that you take. I've made it clear to you guys my position. But my ultimate goal with this interview was to seek understanding on the position of the Black Manosphere, so there is no confusion around it, and then you can decide whether or not the Black Manosphere is in agreement with alignment with your goals or not. Okay, it says Obsidian got his reparations check last week. Tom R2 says reparations won't happen for slavery. Think bigger. Tom R with the 2. Thank you again. Chosen 1997499. It says Obsidian got his money from Massa last week. You guys, so I know you guys are not all big fans of the Oman. Some of you guys love Oman. Blacks didn't own and sell slaves on a mass scale. No, they absolutely did not. That's what I was saying earlier. People have and will choose side. JPT is having her average at best moment. Shout out to you, Chris Sadler, with the 20. Okay, here's another one. Max says, Obsidian's not to slavery. A lot of us were either alive or have parents, grandparents who were alive during the Jim Crow era, which came from slavery, of course. I've alluded to this too. It's like people act like slavery just ended and then everything was just great. It's like, no, slavery, Reconstruction, right? You have the Jim Crow era. You have, redlining, you have the crack era, you have there's gentrification, there's all these things that have happened systematically since then to specifically keep the current power structures, if you will, or more importantly, to make it harder for the Black community as a whole to get to an equal footing. That's not to say that there aren't Black individuals out there who can do well. They obviously can. But if you're talking about the results of a collective community, you cannot divorce that from the history of just from the history, and then also from the policies and how things were done or were not done to help put us in this particular situation. You can't divorce that. We can't talk about, oh, well, Black community didn't build anything, and then we overlook the fact that you had dozens upon dozens of Black towns that were built and then burned down. You can't overlook that. You can't overlook the fact that you had the Homestead Act and different things that kind of help put other communities in positions of power, and we weren't necessarily given those opportunities. Or if we said we had those opportunities, we were withheld that. So that's what I'm saying. I think it's totally, completely possible. It is possible to build, to pull yourself up by the bootstraps if you want, to focus on the bigger objective. It's possible to do that, but you also don't want to overlook the history of what happened. If we go to the doctor's office, the first thing they ask you is a history of your parents or your grandparents, or if you had any history. Why? Because they want to make sure that they give you the most accurate analysis and the most accurate medicine for your ailments. The doctors understand this. You go to therapists, they understand this. You go to psychologists. People in the health field understand that history is going to help impact your present and your future. But somehow when it comes to Black America, we want to forget all that and act like it didn't exist. And that's, to me, where I feel like a more balanced conversation, I think, is necessary, of being like, all these things happened. Let's acknowledge that. But also, by the way, we still must do this. And a lot of times I feel like I'll hear these conversations and they'll go, it'll be so extreme. It's like Black people are victims just for acknowledging historical facts. And sometimes it'll be the other extremers like, oh, we can't do anything unless we get this or that. And I'm like, no, let's do both. Acknowledge the wrongs that were done, fight towards that, while also doing what you can today to put yourself in better position. To me, that's how I look at it. Anyways, I got in a tangent. I say you're a preacher. Pro got Obsidian 360 deal. He dances around that column, but he like the black woman he complained about. Says so tired of the BS narrative started by black women in the space. Pro bases UK blacks and Nigerians, not the black manosphere. Yeah, I'll slightly disagree with that just because currently now, but she certainly did get, I mean, she paid for Kevin Samuels, Hakeem, the lead attorney, Donovan Sharp, all black manosphere content creators is how she paid to work with them, got traction with them, has done a lot of collaborations with content creators in America. So I think it would be dishonest to say that there hasn't been a large black American influence in particular in her career. That's not to say that she hasn't worked hard and done other collaborations. She absolutely has. But they certainly played a role. She studied under them. That's how she got to where she was today. So I think that's an important fact to note. The Obsidian just started Jacob. Calvin. Okay, let me see. Folks have to agree to disagree. Regardless, we have to find a way to move on. I agree with marriage, politics, and sports. Absolutely. And then I see this one. This is our image. Just think about it. I could not agree more. This is why I think it's important to have these conversations. And okay, so I think I want to say I got all of you. It says she's no different than those women standing next to their husbands while they hung our forefathers' children. That's, you make another interesting point too. I think when we talk about, when we talk about racism, everybody has a different understanding of it. And that's okay. Everybody has a different understanding of it. I take the understanding that just because somebody isn't burning a cross and wearing a white hood doesn't mean that they aren't racist, or at least aren't influenced by racist ideals. So like I said, for the Miss Pearly things, I don't think that you're going to see her burning a cross or anything like that. But I do think that it's possible, or a white woman coming from the Midwest, yeah, it's possible that she has held or that she believes ideals that are racist, or at best, she's holding on to ideals that were created by white supremacists. I spoke to the Daughters of the Confederacy, which literally, it's a book, but it speaks to basically women who were, their main goal was to help go around and help to try to minimize the impacts of slavery, and also the impacts of things that were laws and things that were going on at that time that were specifically targeted towards Black women and Black men. Like, if you look at this stuff, it exists. And so there's the brazen racist, and then there's a passive aggressive racist. I interviewed a white woman 2 weeks ago, and she talked about it. She's like, yeah, you have white people who can be like openly racist, and then you have some who can sometimes be passive aggressive with it. And then sometimes you have some who they're ignorant. And so they're ignorant. And so it's not like it's malicious, but nevertheless, they still have closed-minded beliefs that can be racist. So to me, I think there's levels to this. You guys get to decide, what you think, how you view it. I've stated my position. My values are not in alignment with her values. And that's okay. But like I said, I'm not going to judge you, whatever you decide. I just wanted to see clarity, more importantly, on what's going on with the Manosphere. And if you missed it, go catch it. I think at the end of the day, what I took from it was, I don't say pay to play, but pretty much. That's what he alluded to when I got down to the nitty-gritty of the different alliances, why the JPT was a better alliance than, say, some of the other Black women in the Manosphere. And he spoke to investment, and he spoke to being treated better. And then when he broke down being treated better, he talked about how JPT, Just Pearly Things, went and paid to be in the presence of Kevin Samuels and lead attorney. And, Hafez, he's in Black Manosphere, but Donovan Sharp, basically other Black men in the Manosphere adjacent in general, that she studied under, that she paid for, she took money and consulted with the best, and then she also took money and got a studio. So from what he shared earlier in the interview, it's pay to play. Are you willing to invest, and are you willing to align with their financial goals, and whatever other goals that they have? And so I think it's important, look at it for what it may. you guys go back and catch the replay if I mischaracterize everything, but I think I summed it up pretty well. That's really why they think, because, you know, she's a good alliance. She helps to reach financial goals that the Black Manosphere has for itself. And that is, you know, what's going to help determine their movement moving forward. So you guys decide what you want to do with it. Go catch the replay. I think I summed everything up. Again, I'm glad, and I'm glad and grateful I was able to have this conversation with Mr. Obsidian. I didn't want to mischaracterize. I didn't want to misspeak for the movement. So I'm glad he was able to come speak on his point. Again, my goal is never to disrespect him or anyone who may have a difference of opinion. It's just to see clarity. So thank you guys for being here. I'm trying to think if I got anything else. And like, share, subscribe on the way out. Go and catch the replay, or go and catch the first half where he breaks down the different questions around reparations, around values, around alliances, why Just Pearly thinks is a good alliance or not. Go back and catch that, so you're not hearing my word for it or hearsay. You're hearing him directly. I think that's important. Make your own decisions. And like, share, subscribe. Stay tuned for other upcoming videos. Thank you guys for being here, and we'll talk later. Okay, guys? Bye.